Convergence Point, Prologue. By Celgress. Beyond normal reality. Battleworld was being torn asunder by titanic forces. The Beyonder watched it all unfold from a place that was not a place that existed only because he willed it to exist. At last, the time had come to end the grand experiment he had performed innumerable times before, but this time the outcome would prove different. A fragment of Battleworld derived from what some termed Marvel Universe 616 caught his interest. Rather than let it grow back into a full version of its own derivative reality, he decided to embark on a far different course of action. Another reality derived from what some teamed DC Earth Prime was undergoing its own crisis of realignment due to the introduction of elements from another DC-based reality. While both the Marvel fragment and the DC world were in a state of profound instability, Beyonder stepped in. He would fuse these diverse elements together, creating a rare Convergence Point universe. How splendid, Beyond thought. Battleworld. Take my hand. Spider-Man shouted at the red-haired girl, who quickly did as she was told. He and the girl were dangling over the edge of a jagged precipice suspended by a strand of webbing. Below them loomed a swirling void of oblivion. Annie tightly clung to Spider-Man's body, holding on for all she was worth. "I'm scared," the girl cried. "I know you are. Everything will be okay, I promise. Just close your eyes, Annie," Spider-Man said. Strange as it sounded, Annie was his daughter from an alternate universe. Cautiously, Spider-Man made his way back up the strand, which was about to break when it was reinforced by two more strands of webbing. "I figured you could use a hand," said a second Spider-Man, this one clad in black and red rather than red and blue. "Thanks, Miles, I owe you one," Spider-Man said. "You owe me at least 4 by this point, but hey, who's counting?" the other Spider-Man said. Like Annie, Miles Morales was from another universe. "We're safe now, you can open your eyes," Spider-Man said to Annie. Annie opened her eyes but refused to release her grip. She started to cry. "Mom and Dad are gone," the 8-year-old sobbed. There, everything will be okay," Spider-Man said while gently stroking her hair. Somehow, he added silently to himself. Peter Parker knew he was in no position financially or emotionally to care for a child. He looked at Mary Jane Watson, whose counterpart was the mother of Annie. Their eyes briefly locked before Mary Jane quickly looked away. He and MJ were not even currently together in their own reality. If they survived this, what was he going to do about Annie? "What's happening now?" exclaimed Lana Baumgartner, aka Bombshell, another meta-human plucked from Miles' home dimension. "I have no idea, but I doubt it's anything good," Miles, who stood next to her, said while they watched the fragment of world around them seemingly melt away into a kaleidoscope of clashing colors and confusing sounds. DC Earth Prime variant. Other than a pair of onlookers, reality itself melted away as the two versions of Superman stood in front of each other. Lois Lane Kent and her 9-year-old son Jonathan Kent watched the world-altering event unfold with trepidation. Neither truly understood what was happening. Lois fervently hoped her husband would not be harmed or otherwise be ill-affected by whatever was taking place between him and the other Superman. Slowly the two Supermen merged together, all the while reality began to reorganize itself because of their fusion. Suddenly the process became even more chaotic than it already was. Lois and John put their hands over their ears and closed their eyes in a vain attempt to protect their senses from the bewildering onslaught. Soon, everything went black as they lost awareness within the violent maelstrom of profound change. Beyond normal reality. An eon passed within the blink of an eye. Beyonder was pleased with his work. He had perfectly melded the two worlds together into one new composite Earth, the centerpiece of a new convergent point reality with all that entailed. The only elements which had given him some trouble regarding their incorporation into the new whole were those from realities others than 616 or Earth Prime, namely Annie Parker, Miles Morales, Lana Baumgartner, Lois Lane Kent, Jonathan Kent, and the non-prime portion of Superman. Initially, Beyonder considered simply erasing these foreign elements, aside from the merging Superman, but decided against such a course of action. He enjoyed a challenge and was nothing if not creative. After much work, he managed to fit these elements into the whole with a minimum of disruption. Now everything was ready. He rested after his taxing exercise while he prepared to observe his creation for as long as it and its various pieces would hold his interest. Once he was satisfied with his first round of observations, he would go do something else, leaving his creation to thrive or flounder on its own for a time. The joys of being a near omnipotent transdimensional entity were many and diverse, and he enjoyed them all. Convergence Point, Episode 1, A New World. Earth. Ever since the events of the so-called superhero civil war 2 years ago, life had been relatively peaceful for Earth superheroes. After his plan to utilize the Registration Act to gain vengeance against his longtime foe Superman was uncovered by investigative reporters Clark Kent and Lois Lane Kent, former American President Lex Luthor had languished in federal prison on charges of treason. Alongside Luthor in confinement sat other high-profile members of his renegade administration, such as former director of Hammer Norman Osborn and former Argus director Amanda Waller. Each was charged with multiple counts of corruption and human rights violations. To the shock of many of their detractors, the superheroes of the United States and the wider world, with only a few notable exceptions, did a more than adequate job of policing themselves once free of the constant antagonization from Luthor and his compatriots. The various superhero groupings even created an official superhero tribunal, or ST for short, to deal with the most egregious breaches of what came to be known as the Superhero Code of Conduct, or SCC. Although rarely applied, the SCC proscribed harsh penalties for any superhero who broke the code, reserving the punishment of possible banishment from Earth for those who wantonly caused the deaths of civilians through their actions or inactions. When Dr. Octopus briefly took possession of Spider-Man's body, it was the ST to whom his troubled wife Mary Jane turned to for assistance because of her husband's odd behavior. The ST then quickly uncovered the truth and remedied the situation by switching back the minds of the involved parties. A remote island located somewhere in the South Pacific, afternoon. It's about damn time you two tied the knot. How long have ya been dancing around the issue, bats? Seems like forever by my reckoning. The Thing, Ben Grimm said. Thank you, the Flash, Barry Allen said. I've been saying the exact same thing for years. They make a perfect couple. Why they never got together before now boggles my mind. I don't see either of you hurrying to the altar. When is the last time either of you even went on a date? Batman said dourly. He hated being the subject of gossip. Hey, ya should know better than most bats that being a superhero is a full-time job. I have no time for dating. Besides, I'm a confirmed bachelor who is too set in his ways to change. Ain't no chick who would want a big lug like me. The Thing said. You've got that right. Human Torch Johnny Storm snickered from nearby. That's it, hothead, it's clobberin' time. The Thing growled. Catch me if you can, Rocky, flame on. Human Torch said as he soared away as a frustrated Thing ran after him. So when is the big day? Flash asked Catwoman, ignoring Batman's patented bat glare which was currently leveled at both him and the departing Thing. Likely sometime in summer. Perhaps a June wedding would be nice. What do you think, darling? Catwoman said. Whatever you want, dear, Batman said. Whack, she's already got you whipped. Flash laughed. Everyone nearby laughed. I wonder if she whips him literally. Deadpool said. Would be hot if she did, said Harley Quinn, who was leaning against Deadpool. True dat, my little minx, Deadpool said, pulling Harley in closer. Harley giggled at Deadpool. Maybe I can break out the whip tonight along with the chains and handcuffs and the taser and blowtorch. You're too good to me, babe. She's a keeper, people. Deadpool said while others stared in a mixture of disbelief and horror. Batman muttered something under his breath while he shook his head in dismay. He hated these annual picnics. He swore they got worse every year, plus he had to move a Wayne satellite into position to block the view of the island from orbit, Damn, losing that bet about Luthor getting impeached to Tony Stark. He glanced around looking for Damian, but his son was nowhere to be found. Some distance away from where Batman stood, the newest Robin, Damian Wayne, sat on an outcropping of rock by himself. He kicked a few loose stones away, having nothing better to do. In general, 12-year-old Damian was not a happy boy. Having spent most of his young life with the League of Assassins, Damian had never been permitted to enjoy himself much, or even given any real degree of freedom. Damian glanced over at the happy superheroes who were mingling around a hilly, green island and felt profoundly uncomfortable. He knew in his heart of hearts he did not belong here, or attending an upscale school in Gotham, or playing semi-nightly dress-up alongside his father. Damian felt lost, adrift. He was in search of a sense of purpose, of a place to belong. Other than his friends John Kent and Annie Parker, he had yet to connect with anyone in his own age group. Damian feared he would never fit in with others. Did he even want to? Speaking of the duo, they appeared over the nearest hill at that precise moment. "There he is," 11-year-old John Kent said. "Found you," 10-year-old Spid Erling Annie Parker said. "Hi," Damian said simply. He remained crouched on his perch. "Why did you leave the picnic?" John asked. "Yeah, we were looking for you. They are about to start the junior 3-person treasure hunt. With the 3 of us on the same team, we are sure to win. The prize is a mystery, but you know it'll be something great. Last year they gave away 3 adamantium-coated signal bracelets, so wicked," Annie said excitedly. "I felt uncomfortable," Damian admitted. "Still shy around crowds, huh?" John said sympathetically. "I am," Damian said. "You just need to mingle with people more," Annie said. "I doubt that'll help," Damian said. "You should try either way," John said. "Maybe," Damian said, getting off the rock. "Ah, here we are, 3 young heroes, around your age," Doctor Strange said after appearing in a flash of light. Next to him stood a subdued-looking, gray-skinned girl of 12 who was dressed in a navy blue cloak with pulled-back hood. "Greetings, young heroes, this is my charge, Raven." Hi," Raven said weakly. "I think spending some time with those her own age will benefit Raven greatly in terms of socialization. Please be kind to her. Raven has had limited exposure to other children," Doctor Strange said. He gave Raven a gentle push forward. "Go along, they won't bite much," Annie joked, but she and John both ceased laughing when they noticed Raven visibly flinch. "Sorry, I was only joking. I'm Annie, by the way. This is John and he's Damian," Annie said, indicating herself, then the 2 boys in turn. "I'll leave you 4 to your play, have fun." "Dr." Strange said. When he noticed the pleading look in Raven's eyes, he added, "I'll be nearby if you should need me." He vanished in another flash of light, only to reappear among a distant group of adults. "So Raven, what TV shows do you like?" Annie asked. "I don't watch TV. Doctor Strange says television rots the mind," Raven said. "Oh," Annie said. "Are there any books you like?" John asked. "The Necronomicon Ex Mortis," Raven said. "Okay," John said, not sure what that was. "Stop badgering her, you two. Can't you see you are making her uncomfortable?" Damian said. He knew what it was like to be peppered by a million questions courtesy of Annie and John. Shortly after his arrival roughly 1 year ago, they had done the exact same thing to him they were now doing to Raven. "Would you like to go for a walk around the island together?" "That would be nice," Raven said, taking the hand Damian offered in her own. She quickly looked away when they made eye contact, but Damian could have sworn her unusual complexion blushed slightly pink for a fleeting moment. The pair then walked off hand in hand. "Smooth operator," John whistled. "Shucks, our plan is sunk without Damian," Annie said, kicking the ground in frustration. "Come on, don't give up. I'm sure we can find a third." "What about Gabby?" John said. "Good idea, let's go find her," Annie said as the pair ran off to locate the junior X-Men member. At a long line of picnic tables, many more heroes young and old mingled while eating and drinking. Wonder Woman and her longtime partner/husband, although the pair had only made it official a few years ago after emerging from more than 50 years of icy slumber, Captain America stood chatting with the current Dr. Fate, who 3 years ago narrowly prevented a temporarily insane Scarlet Witch from devouring ever X-gene mutant on Earth. The ever-stoic Martian Manhunter J'onn J'onns was there, as were Mr. Fantastic Reed Richards and his wife Invisible Woman Sue Richards, Superman Clark Kent and his wife Lois, Spider-Man Peter Parker and his wife ex-model and fashion industry hopeful Mary Jane, and Obsidian Spider Miles Morales, alongside a plethora of others including many members of the X-Men who were gathered around an expecting couple. Jean Summers softly rubbed her bulging belly. "Everything checked out okay at my last appointment. A few months from now Scott and I should welcome a healthy baby into the world," she said happily. "Do you know the sex?" Polaris asked. "We prefer to be surprised," Cyclops Scott Summers said. "With everything we've been through, we're just happy there have been no surprises with the pregnancy. So, how does it feel knowing you'll soon be a godfather, Sug?" Rogue teased Martian Manhunter. J'onn had been close with Scoot and Jean ever since the Phoenix Force incident 5 years ago. J'onn's highly advanced telepathy combined with his knowledge of alien entities allowed him to detect that Jean was not Jean but rather a duplicate created by the Phoenix Force. Once the heroes ended the menace of the Phoenix Force, they searched from the real Jean Grey, soon finding her in an undersea cocoon not far from New York City thanks to Aquaman and his half-brother Namor. Jean and Scott felt they owned their lives together to Martian Manhunter. As a result, they asked him to be the godfather of their children when Jean learned she was expecting. "I anticipate the upcoming event with great excitement," Martian Manhunter replied woodenly, as was his custom. "You could have fooled me," Nightwing Richard Grayson said to much laughter. "So, I hear you're moving to my neck of the woods," Nightwing said, turning his attention back towards the raven-haired young lady next to him, X-23 Laura Kinney. "Your sources are impeccable as always, which shouldn't surprise me given who trained you," X-23 said. "I recently accepted a job with a security firm in Bloodhaven." "Talk about a trial by fire," Nightwing said. "If you ever need any help or want to team up after hours, I'm always available." X-23 smiled at Nightwing. "Are you hitting on me?" she asked. Not if you don't want me to," Nightwing said, paling slightly as his body grew tense. "I kind of do, so it's fine if you are," X-23 said, still smiling. "Good to know," Nightwing said, visibly relaxing. "The only thing that troubles me about my new job is I have to leave Gabby behind in Bayville. I know New Jersey isn't technically that far away from upstate New York, but I'm the only family she has since Logan died," X-23 said with a hint of sadness. "Why not bring her with you?" Nightwing suggested. "I don't know. She'd miss her friends at the Xavier Institute. Fitting in with new people isn't always easy when you're a mutant or a clone of a famous or infamous one, depending on who you ask," X-23 said. "Well, if do bring your sister to Bloodhaven, I can introduce her to a few younger residents I know," Nightwing said. "How sweet of you," X-23 said. "I guess your reputation as Prince Charming among the ladies is no lie." "Among what ladies?" Nightwing said. "Starfire, Batgirl, Power Girl - X-23 was counting off on her fingers while she talked. Okay, I get the point. Sheesh, can't a guy be popular with the ladies without being some sort of creep?" Nightwing said. "So you're a creep, huh?" X-23 laughed. "I give up." Nightwing sighing, X-23 laughed. "I wish Bombshell was here. But I can't trust her with our secrets." Obsidian Spider lamented. "Dating is supervillainous if never easy, kid. I speak from experience." Daredevil Matt Murdock said, patting Obsidian Spider on his shoulder. "Who knows, maybe things will work out between you. Look at Batman and Catwoman," Spider-Man said. You think so? Obsidian Spider said, his voice a bit happier. Sure I do, Spider-Man said. If my career as a superhero has taught me anything, it is that people can change. What about Norman Osborn, or Lex Luthor, or Dash? Obsidian Spider said. Most people can change. Superman, who stood nearby with Lois, said, weighing in. Don't let a few bad apples ruin your day. Thanks, guys, I really needed the pep talk. Obsidian Spider said before he walked off to chat with some heroes his own age. He had to capture Bombshell again. He's pretty torn up about the whole ordeal. Spider-Man explained to Superman, who gave him a questioning look. Poor Miles, Lois said. Will that girl never learn? I think Miles would be far happier if he was dating Kamala Khan or Dash, MJ began. Oh no, we're not playing matchmaker with Miles, the kid has enough problems already, Red, Spider-Man said, shaking his head. But, Tiger Dash, Mary Jane said. No buts, Miles has to sort this out for himself, Spider-Man said. I agree, Miles needs to deal with his feelings for Lana without input from us or anyone else, Superman said. You two are no fun. Mary Jane pouted. Tell me about it. We married the straightest arrows in the superhero community. Lois said with a groan. Straight and dependable, Spider-Man said. What's wrong with being a straight arrow? Superman said. Cough, boring cough, Daredevil said into his hand. We aren't boring, Superman said. Yeah, we aren't boring, Spider-Man said. Prove it, Daredevil said. How? Superman asked, giving Daredevil a suspicious look. We're up for any challenge, Spider-Man proclaimed. Okay, do something spontaneous, Daredevil challenged. I've got it, Spider-Man said, snapping his fingers after a moment of thought. How about a camping trip? I've always wanted to see the Mojave Desert. A camping trip is a great idea. The kids would love it, Superman said. No thanks, Lois said. I hate snakes and the desert is full of them. I'm with Lois on this one, Mary Jane said. My idea of fun isn't roughing it out in the desert. You're loose, ladies. We'll have fun with the kids on our own, right, Clark? Spider-Man said. Right, Peter, Superman said. Our heroes spent the remainder of that carefree day frolicking in the idyllic paradise. They mingled with each, enjoying a rare moment of peace. They then cleaned up their mess, leaving the pristine island as they had found it for another year. An uncharted planetoid somewhere in deep space. Two astronauts from Earth entered a castle-like structure. Inside they found little of interest aside from various ornate furnishings, all collecting dust. Although everything was in good order, the place appeared abandoned. The place seems to be deserted, said one of the astronauts, a young male with brown skin and dark hair. Are you reading any life forms? He asked his companion, a pale-skinned young woman with light hair. I'm not sure, the female astronaut replied, giving her handheld device a hard tap on its side. These readings are confusing. Maybe it's picking up interference from somewhere, she suggested. Wait, I think I heard someone coming, the male astronaut said. Sure enough, a loud rhythmic banging sounded could be heard from behind a large metal-studded door. The door creaked open to reveal a horrifying sight. There in the doorway stood a towering entity which greatly resembled Superman, but his body was made up of shiny black material overlaid with a neon yellow pattern of circuitry. The menacing figure regarded the pair with its neon yellow eyes. He opened his jagged-toothed mouth to reveal more neon yellow within. It's been so long since I've had visitors. Come join me, the figure said. Tendrils shoot from his body, impelling the astronauts through their suits. They screamed as the material slowly absorbed them into itself. When it finished, nothing remained of them or their suits. The entire process took about 20 minutes. Earthlings, far from home, the figure said as he analyzed the data flooding his mind. Much has transpired in my absence, it would seem. Kall and his friends have grown strong free from powerful opposition. The figure had once in another lifetime been a human astronaut himself named Hank Henshaw. After being exposed to cosmic radiation his body perished but his consciousness somehow remained. Holding Superman and the Fantastic Four, who had been through a similar ordeal, responsible for failing to save himself or his crew from death, Henshaw stole Superman's birthing matrix from orbit and traveled the cosmos until he found a warlord named Mongul. Henshaw, driven further into madness by his isolation, made an alliance with Mongul to destroy Superman and the Fantastic Four, but when they reached Earth he learned a creature called Doomsday had already killed Superman. Undaunted by his setback, Henshaw instead used the knowledge he gained of Kryptonian DNA from the birthing matrix to create a cybernetic version of Superman's body. Calling himself Cyborg Superman, he impersonated the Man of Steel by claiming he had been rebuilt after death by unknown aliens. His ultimate goal had been to destroy Earth and blame it on Superman and the Fantastic Four, thereby forever ruining their reputations within the wider galaxy. His scheme would have succeeded if not for two things: Superman did not remain dead but returned and teamed with the Fantastic Four, who he had been attempting to con into helping him create clean energy, in truth massive bombs, to both kill Mongul, though by accident, and destroy his new body. His consciousness survived, however, and sought refuge once more in the stars. Months later Henshaw's consciousness encountered and usurped control of a branch of the Technarchy, becoming a new strain of Phalanx which possessed great power due to his ability to replicate all things Kryptonian at will. He had wandered the stars ever since, consuming all he encountered to increase his majesty, but he hungered for more, much more. Absorbing all life on Earth will greatly enhance my perfection, and by destroying their home world I shall inflict an emotional wound upon Superman and the Fantastic Four from which neither will ever recover. The time has arrived, I'm going home. Phalanx Cyborg Superman declared. Given the limitations of Earth technology, the journey would likely take many months if not a year or more in his stolen ship, but he was a patient entity, he could wait. Anticipation only enhances enjoyment, and I plan to enjoy my vengeance to its utmost. Phalanx Cyborg Superman stalked out of the room, his mind full of visions of mayhem. Episode 2. Latveria, morning. This isn't Almas caviar. A 10-year-old silver-haired girl with purple highlights said, spitting out the cracker, a scowl on her otherwise cute face. I specifically asked for Almas caviar and you give me Ositra caviar. What, you think because I'm young I don't know the difference, is that it? I should turn you into a toad for your insolence. Mother showed me how last week. What do you have to say for yourself, Boris? My sincerest apologies, young mistress, said the elderly bearded Boris. Boris was the long-serving and long-suffering personal manservant of Victor von Doom, king/dictator of Latveria. The UN embargo against luxury goods has made the procurement of certain supplies such as Almas caviar from outside Latveria increasingly difficult. Your parents are presently at UN headquarters in New York attempting to rectify the situation even as we speak. Are those silly people at the UN still upset with father and mother for engineering that failed coup in Wakanda? The girl said, getting up while finishing her breakfast in the lavishly appointed private dining room. I'm afraid so, young mistress, Boris said. I'm sure they would have invaded our great nation if not for their fear of your parents King Doom and Queen Cersei. As if they could even defeat me. Those little annoyances know they stand no chance against father and mother. Their silly embargo will be lifted soon. The girl said with a dismissive snort. Quite right, young mistress, Boris readily agreed. But just in case, let the word go out. Tell our agents Princess Xiomara, Xiomara, of Latveria needs her favorite treat. Whoever brings me a month's supply of Almas caviar will be richly rewarded. The girl said while she put on a purple cape over her green tunic. Yes, young mistress, right away, young mistress, Boris said. Run along, do as I say, Boris, Xiomara snapped. I'm on my way, young mistress, Boris said with a bow before he scurried off fast as his tired old bones would carry him. Xiomara groaned. Boris could be so trying at times. She would have had him executed during the absence of her parents if not for her father. For some reason she could not fathom, her father valued the broken-down old simpleton. Zyamura, Mara for short, was the sole child of Dr. Doom and Circe. Dr. Doom first met his future wife 15 years ago when he approached Circe for aid defeating the demon lord Mephisto so he could free his mother Cynthia from eternal torment. Although their attempt to defeat Mephisto ultimately failed, the pair hit it off and entered into a partnership so they could more effectively antagonize their mutual enemies. Their partnership soon developed romantic overtones during an ill-fated mission against Wonder Woman and Captain America, during which the pair were briefly imprisoned in Tartarus. 4 years later they wed. Zyamura was born a little more than 1 year after their nuptials. The date of Zyamura's birth in May became a national holiday in Latvia, one which was celebrated annually with much pomp and ceremony. "I wonder what the stupid trio are up to," Zyamura said. She stepped over to an ornate full-length mirror which stood in the corner of the room. She waved her hand over the glassy surface but nothing happened, it remained dark. "How dare Dr. Fate and Dr. Strange put up a mystical barrier to keep me or anyone else from learning the civilian identities of these so-called heroes by magically spying on them?" She grumbled with a frown. "How can I stop Superboy, Robin, and Spid Erling from interfering with my next scheme if I don't know who they are?" She stomped her feet. Magenta-colored magical energy crackled in her hands as her eyes also turned magenta in color. "I hate you, Dr. Fate and Dr. Strange, you old meddlers." A stray bolt of energy flew from her right hand, burning a hole through the wall. "Oh oopsie," she blushed. "I never liked this wallpaper anyway." Her expression suddenly brightened. "Maybe Mother will let me pick something to replace it, something with unicorns. Gold unicorns would look pretty, or warriors riding golden unicorns would look even more pretty." A mansion outside of Metropolis several hours later, morning. "I forgot to tell you last night that your cousin Jennifer agreed to watch Gerald, so next weekend is a go." Karen Starbanner aka Power Girl said to her husband with a smile. With a gamma-infused alien hybrid child, you could not just leave him with anyone, as such finding suitable babysitters was often a nightmare. Thank goodness for Auntie Cousin, as Gerald called her, She-Hulk Jennifer Walters. "I can't wait," Dr. Bruce Banner said, rolling over in bed to face his lovely wife. Bruce Banner often wondered how he had been so lucky. In spite of everything he went through during his early lost years as Feral Hulk, he managed to fall in love with an extraordinary woman. A woman who not only gave him all the love and understanding he could ever ask for, but also a 7-year-old son and gainful employment as the chief R&D officer of her company S.T.A.R Labs. Although neither Power Girl nor Hulk was welcome within the ranks of superheroes, they could always count on each other, which was all they needed to be happy. Shortly after her arrival on Earth, using advanced Kryptonian technology from her ship and scientific knowledge she obtained from a brief stay in Atlantis, Karen was able to buy out a failing company named S.T.A.R Labs. She financed the purchase by selling off several exotic minerals she had brought with her to Earth. Adopting the public persona of CEO Karen Starr to complement her heroic identity of Power Girl, she did everything she could to make S.T.A.R Labs a success. In spite of Karen's efforts, S.T.A.R Labs floundered for the first several years of her stewardship. This changed, however, when she brought the legendary if disgraced Dr. Bruce Banner on board as a researcher. With Bruce Banner by her side, Karen finally had someone with the know-how necessary to turn her grandiose ideas into reality. Several commercially successful innovations later, and S.T.A.R Labs was a household name nearly on par with tech industry heavyweights like Stark, Wayne, Oscorp, until its recent collapse following the Red Goblin incident caused by Norman Osborn during his brief escape from prison, and Horizon Labs. "The Himalayas are so beautiful this time of year. I can't wait to see them again with you," Karen said, smiling at Bruce. "As I recall, they were the scene of our first meeting," Bruce said, gently stroking her cheek. "You mean our first battle?" Karen teased. "You were the first being I ever fought who was stronger than me, such a turn on." Even in my uncontrollable state, I sensed there was something special about you, Bruce said. We forged an unbreakable connection when you looked into my eyes and saw I was more than a monster, a mere brute. You defended me when the others showed up so they could once again contain me. You took responsibility for me, provide me the first real home I had in years. You taught me to master my power by controlling my transformation. You are truly my guardian angel. I helped you back then because I know what being an outcast means. My family Kal and Kara have never fully accepted me. Karen said with a look of sadness in her eyes. It isn't my fault my clone pod was accidentally activated and set to Earth years before Kara's ship arrived. Typically a Kryptonian clone was only activated upon the demise of the original person or their previous clone, should the original have already died by that point. Because Kryptonian clones possessed all the memories of their predecessors, one existing concurrently with the predecessor would be extremely problematic in regards to which should be entitled to live the life of that citizen. Don't cry, my sweet angel. I hate when you cry, Bruce said as he gently wiped away a stray tear. You never deserved the suspicion you received at the hands of others, including your family. You didn't either, Karen said. Perhaps not, no matter what we have each other and our son, Bruce said with a sad smile. Which is all we need, Karen said leaning in for a kiss. Speaking of which, we better get to work before we're late. She laughed upon breaking the kiss. Somewhere in the coastal rainforest of the Pacific Northwest, night. Again, Green Lantern Jessica Cruz said. Are thou sure? Thor asked. Both heroes floated high above the lush green canopy. Give me another one. Jessica insisted. Very well, Thor said. Thor spun his mystical hammer Mjolnir around in his right hand and delivered a powerful lightning bolt from out of the up until then clear sky to Jessica. Her green energy shield flickered but held. Impressed I am. Thanks, Jessica panted. Good shot, that one nearly broke my shield. Perhaps I used too much force, milady. Thor wondered. Nah, it's fine. I need to know my limits. Jessica said, shrugging off his suggestion. She then flashed Thor a mischievous smile. I think we've done enough training for today. She floated over to Thor and put her arms around his neck. Wouldn't you agree, lover? Distant sirens blared in the forest-covered valley below, breaking the silence of the night. Thor and Jessica looked over the horizon to see an orange glow. A wildfire had suddenly ignited in the tinder-dry underbrush surrounding a small town. Duty calls, my milady, Thor said. That it does. Jessica Cruz sighed, letting go of Thor. Jessica and Thor were by now used to the many interruptions to their love life their heroic pursuits brought. Neither would have it any other way. The pair had met back when Jessica was in university doing a master's degree in geoscience at the University of Washington at Tacoma, and Thor, in the guise of Donald M. Blake, was a young local MD, medical doctor. After Jessica was caught in a cave-in during a research trip, she developed acute anxiety disorder. It was to Dr. Blake she was initially sent for treatment. After years of interacting with each other, the pair confessed their feelings, and Dr. Blake sent Jessica to see a different doctor so as not to further complicate matters. Not long afterward, the pair embarked on a romantic relationship. Some months later, while on a camping trip with friends, Jessica stumbled upon the corrupted Ring of Volthum, which feeds off fear. Possessed by the Ring of Volthum, Jessica almost went on a rampage. Her escapade was only halted by the intervention of several members of the Justice League and Avengers. Among them was Thor. The only way the Ring of Volthum would remove itself from Jessica was if she overcame her deep-seated fears, which she did with help from Thor, who, left with no choice, had to reveal his identity to Jessica so he could boost her confidence in his words. Mightily impressed by Jessica's ability to overcome the Ring of Volthum's evil influence, even with some help, something thought if not impossible at least exceedingly difficult by most, the Green Lantern Corps gifted her a Green Lantern power ring. Thus she became one of the defenders of Earth and now fights alongside her boyfriend Thor. Nearby town. When Thor and Jessica arrived at the scene of the fire, they quickly discovered several other heroes were already present. Captain Marvel Carol Danvers was there, as was her husband, the senior Green Lantern of Earth, Hal Jordan. Carol kept her own name when they wed because they were both in the Air Force and it would be less confusing that way, and the elder Flash Barry Allen. Captain Marvel used her photonic discharge ability to create a fire break around the town, while Hal used a force field bubble created by his ring to levitate one group of frightened civilians to safety, followed by another, then another. "How can we help?" Jessica asked. "Get out as many people as you can while Flash tries to put out the fire," Hal said. "Worry not, I've got this," Barry Allen said confidently. "Enough chit-chat, act," Captain Marvel shouted from her position overhead. "Yes, ma'am," Barry said, knowing better than to argue with the tough no-nonsense Air Force officer. Even though she had not existed in every reality he could remember being a part of, Barry liked Carol. Besides, she was good for Hal. Whoever said opposites attracted had never taken into account this couple made up of Flyboy and Flygirl. Hal and Carol were so damn similar they might as well be twins. Barry shoved that somewhat disturbing image from his mind before he ran laps through the blazing forest in a zigzag pattern, putting out the flames in a matter of minutes. "Ta-da, all done," Barry proudly proclaimed, clapping his hands together in a dusting motion. "Not by half," Captain Marvel said, pointing at the devastated landscape behind Barry, where a huge green dragon stood glaring down at the small group of heroes. "Fin Fang Foom, what the heck is he doing here?" Jessica asked. "Shouldn't he be terrorizing China or maybe Indian?" "No idea how he got here, but I think we have our firebug," Hal said. "Hey, big guy, what's up?" Barry causally asked the monstrous creature. "You ruined my beautiful forest fire. Now you pay." Fin Fang Foom snarled telepathically. Hal nodded at Jessica. The pair used the combined power of their rings to create a large force bubble around Fin Fang Foom. Hal gestured for Captain Marvel to come to him while Jessica gestured at Thor. "You two concentrate on flying. We will concentrate on maintaining the containment field until we've taken him someplace free of bystanders," Hal explained. "Good plan," Captain Marvel said. "Hey, what about me?" Barry asked. "You go get help in case we fail," Hal said. "On it," Barry said. He gave a brief salute, a gesture he knew greatly annoyed Carol and Hal given their shared military background, which was why he often performed it in their presence. The two Green Lanterns, Thor and Captain Marvel, transported the struggling Fin Fang Foom offshore. Once they were safely away from any populated areas of seagoing vessels, Hal communicated his plan to the others. The Green Lanterns released Fin Fang Foom from his makeshift prison, and not a moment too soon, as it was on the verge of crumbling under his relentless assault. Near simultaneously, Thor struck the monster with a lightning bolt, temporarily stunning him. Captain Marvel hit Fin Fang Foom with a flying punch, as Hal and Jessica each hit him with green energy constructs from the same side as Carol. Fin Fang Foom was tossed thousands of miles away back towards Asia from whence he came. "One dragon monster neutralized," Hal said. "We still need to find out why Fin Fang Foom was in the continental United States, to begin with," Captain Marvel reminded Hal. "Cute and clever, did I luck out or did I luck out?" Hal said. Hal put his arm around Carol, who shrugged it off her shoulders with a playful smile. Thor and Jessica shared a laugh at Hal's expense while he pretended to be offended. The four heroes then made their way back toward land with a mystery to solve. Episode 3, Demons of the Mojave. Prologue. Northwestern Arizona, night. Two Native American children in ragged clothing ran through the pitch-black desert. A bank of low-gray clouds hung overhead, obscuring the full moon. They tripped over stones and small cacti which cut their bare feet as they went along. The boy suddenly caught his foot on a sharp piece of shale hidden beneath a patch of loose sand. "Hurry, they're coming!" the girl cried. Her companion screamed in pain when she pulled him free. He had badly twisted his left ankle, the skin of which was already starting to bruise. With a yelp of pain, the boy tried to stand but could not do so. "Run, sis, they'll be here soon," the boy pleaded. "I won't leave you behind." the girl said. Without warning, out of the gloom loomed several enormous misshapen shadows. Their luminous white eyes stared at the pair for a split second before they lunged forward. Screams echoed through the night, then all was quiet. Roadside dinner the next day, late afternoon. "Hi, my name is Clark Kent. This is my son John, my friend Peter Parker and his daughter Annie," Clark Kent said, gesturing at himself and then at his three companions. All four were outfitted with camping gear. "We seem to be a bit lost. Could any of you help us out? We're looking for Black Snake Canyon. Our GPS is having a hard time pinning down its location. We want to go there on a hiking trip." The lively dinner crowd fell silent. Everyone stared at Clark until one man finally spoke. "Black Snake Canyon isn't a nice place. You and kids should go hiking somewhere else, pal." "Why's that?" Peter asked. "How much do you guys know about Black Snake Canyon?" a waitress behind the long counter asked. "It's renowned by hikers for its picturesque trails, that's about it," Clark said. Go home now while you still can." Another man, a Native American, said. "Why would we want to go home already? We just got here." Annie said. "Black Snake Canyon is cursed," the first man said. "Skinwalkers roam there at night, preying upon the unwary," the Native American man warned. "What's a skinwalker?" John asked. "A shape-shifting demon," the Native American man said. "You're doomed if you go there, doomed." "I think we can handle any shape-shifting demons," Peter said with a chuckle. "Have it your way, but don't say we didn't warn you," the first man said. "Black Snake Canyon is located over the next ridge." "Thanks," Clark said. The four then ordered a late lunch. "A pleasant lot," Peter joked once they were in the parking lot after they had enjoyed their quick meal. The locals did not acknowledge their presence again until it came time to pay their bill, when the waitress grunted at them. "Do you think there really are skinwalkers in Black Snake Canyon?" Annie said. She and John looked apprehensively at their fathers. "Of course not," Peter said dismissively. "What they told us was just a local legend used to frighten tourists. I bet they're having a good laugh right now at our expense." "Peter is right, kids. I'm sure there is nothing to be afraid of," Clark said. "We better get to Black Snake Canyon soon or we'll be late." Clark checking his watch. Clark and the others then piled into their rented SUV and hit the road. The mouth of Black Snake Canyon, 2 hours later. "Connor," John exclaimed. "Riri," Annie exclaimed. "You guys made it? We wouldn't have missed this trip for the world," Squirt, 19-year-old Connor Kent said, hugging John while his girlfriend, 18-year-old Riri Williams, hugged Annie. Connor tousled John's hair affectionately while John swatted his hands away playfully. "Where are MJ and Lois?" Riri asked, noticing the absence of the two women. "They couldn't make it," Peter said. "Don't get me wrong, I love Lois, but her idea of roughing it is curling up with an e-book on the sofa while turning off her laptop and TV," Clark said with a grin. "Did you guys have a hard time finding this place?" Connor asked while John and Annie ran off to scout the area, pulling a resigned Riri along with them. "Yeah, and the locals were less than helpful." "How about you?" Peter said. "The same," Connor said. "They really creeped me and Riri out with all their talk of skinwalkers and curses when we stopped to get gas about 5 miles back. Their tourism strategy could definitely use some work," Clark said. "Nice one," Peter said. He high-fived Clark. For years now Peter had been trying, usually in vain, to get Clark to loosen up. Clark, being the perennial straight man, cracked so few jokes whenever he successfully pulled one off, Peter felt a mini celebration was in order. "And Wade said you were a lost cause. Shows what he knows. I'll make a comedian out of you yet, Clark." Clark frowned at Peter. "Wade said I was a lost cause. Don't feel bad, Wade says that about a lot of people, well, you and Bruce Wayne mostly," Peter admitted with a frown of his own. Connor, how are you and Riri finding life in Pasadena? Clark asked, changing the subject. It's pretty great, hectic but great, Connor said. Riri can't wait to attend the California Institute of Technology in fall. I really need to thank Mr. Wayne for funding Riri's education next time I see him. Don't mention it. Bruce told me he feels it is the least he can do to considering how badly Tony mistreated Riri. Clark said. I hate that jerk, Connor said, clenching his fists. His eyes briefly flashed red with building heat vision before he caught himself. Riri took over his responsibilities when he was sick, and how does he repay her when recovered? He terminated her employ with Stark Enterprises and took away her armor because it was based in his Iron Man designs. Heck, he even threatened to have her arrested for stealing his tech. It took Riri months to build a new suit from scratch. If it's any consolation, her new armor looks better than her old stuff. Peter half-joked. Thanks for letting Riri use your fortress workshop to build her second Iron Heart suit, by the way, Clark, Connor said. No need to thank me. I was happy I could be of assistance. Riri is a fine young woman, Clark said. She reminds me of a young Lois in many ways. She's feisty. Which makes sense considering you guys are so closely related, similar tastes in women and all, Peter said. I suppose so, Clark said uncomfortably. Clark glanced over at Connor, who also felt rather uncomfortable with the preference comparison made by Peter. Connor had started life as a clone of Superman created by Cadmus to serve as a weapon nearly 3 years before. After learning of Connor's existence, he had been freed by the Teen Titans, including Riri. Riri and Connor forged a strong connection over the ensuing months, which eventually bloomed into love. While it had taken time, along with much prompting from Lois, Clark finally accepted Connor into his family as an unofficial son, or perhaps nephew was the more accurate term. Connor and John became close following their introduction 18 months ago. John viewed Connor as the big brother he never had but always wanted. Likewise, Connor saw John as his little brother who he swore to watch over and protect. It's getting late, Clark said, noting the low angle of the sun in the western sky and the chill in the late spring air. We should pitch our tents. Content/language warning. This episode contains profanity and content that may offend more sensitive readers. Reader discretion is strongly advised. Episode 4, Demons of the Mojave Part 1. Northeastern Arizona, late afternoon. Mary Jane covered her mouth to suppress a giggle. What are they up to now? Lois asked her friend. The women had decided to surprise their husbands and children by coming to join their camping trip in the Mojave Desert. Harley has thrown Wade out of their home for cheating on her with a harem of Gwen Stacy clones. Oh my God, Harley just posted that Wade cried for a month when his unicorn was killed after Wade posted how Harley is a closet fan of My Little Pony. Friendship is magic. Mary Jane said. Wait, Arthur is trying to play peacemaker. Harley just called him a glorified fish stick and told him to mind his own business. Oh, now Mara is laying into Harley, who Mara just called a washed-up psycho clown groupie. Charles Xavier is trying to calm everyone down but no one is listening to him. Mary Jane explained while rapidly scrolling through her smartphone to keep up with the rapidly expanding reply chain. Damn, Jason Todd has offered to console Harley. Wade is laying into Jason for being a skunk-haired homewrecker and a himbo. Got to love the drama caused by Harley's and Wade's frequent breakups and makeups on superhero social media, Lois said. Lois, who was driving, glanced at the fuel indicator, which showed less than a quarter of a tank of gas remained. Looks like we better stop for a fill-up. Lois steered her cherry red convertible into the parking lot of a small service station. The car was one of the perks of being Daily Planet's ace reporter and one half of their award-winning news anchor team alongside her husband Clark. This is a sweet ride, Mary Jane said with a whistle, admiring the car as both ladies got out. Perry likes his reporters to travel in style. No doubt he'd be upset if he knew I was taking the car out on a camping trip, especially to such a dusty place. But what Perry doesn't know what hurt me. Lois said. Don't you mean him? Mary Jane asked, quirking an eyebrow. Nope, I mean me, Lois said. Both women laughed. I wonder what's going on, Mary Jane said when she noticed how eerily quiet the truck stop was. There was absolutely no one around this in spite of a packed parking lot. I don't know, Lois said. But we better suit up, just in case. Mary Jane nodded her agreement. The pair retreated to Lois' borrowed convertible. Mary Jane retrieved a duffel bag which contained iron spider armor, a gift from Pepper Potts Stark, keyed to her by a signature. Lois meanwhile unlocked a secure box, courtesy of Batman, with her handprint followed by her retinal scan which contained 3 doses of Lex Luthor's 24-hour super serum. These were from a large cache the heroes had raided from Luthor's secret stash following his final downfall some years before. These devices allowed the women to become part-time superheroines when their husbands or others required a helping hand. Truck stop, a few minutes later. What are you going to do to us? A man asked a woman with a rifle who was clad in a dark hooded robe. He was one of many people who were on their knees, hands clasped behind the back of their heads. The woman was one of 8 cult members who had without warning taken over the truck stop after bursting inside during the supper rush with guns and knives drawn. We members of the cult of the Crimson Duo, the Divine Master of Comedy Joker and his best pal the Agent of Chaos Carnage, do as we please and slay as we will. Shut up, she said, knocking the man out with the butt of her rifle. Her action elicited screams of panic from the other hostages. Make sure you are streaming this. The leader of the group, a gangly young man, said to another cult member who held up her smartphone. The entire world needs to see these pigs bleed. Who's first? He asked, unsheathing an ornate dagger with a grinning jester-headed hilt MA pouch on his belt. You don't have to do this. Please just let us go. A female hostage pleaded. Worry not, it'll be over soon. One of a trio of young girls said calmly, although no one seemed to notice her. Like the other hostages, the trio of girls knelt down, seemingly resolved to their fate. No can do, lady. Our gods, they demand a sacrifice, and a sacrifice this day they'll get. The leader said. Spinneret dropped down from the ceiling and quickly disarmed 3 of the startled cult members with a combination of acrobatic kicks and punches. Her red armor accented with a golden spider symbol, golden eyepieces, golden wristbands and 3 back-mounted golden spider-like limbs gleamed. Meanwhile, a blue, red and white blur knocked 3 other cult members off their feet. The blur ceased its motion to reveal Superwoman, who stood proud in her blue one-piece costume with a red chest covering, tight high red boots, and hooded white cape. Her eyes and the lower portion of her face were the only parts of her body visible. The rest was covered by her blue headgear. A white House of L symbol was emblazoned on her chest. Die, interlopers, the cult member with the rifle screamed, taking aim at Spinneret, who dodged the shot then knocked her out with a straight left. Our gods will not be denied their sacrifice. The cult leader screamed. Lunging forward, he attempted to stab the nearest hostage but in her neck, but Superwoman put herself between his knife and its intended target. The blade crumbled against her impervious body. Superwoman scowled at the cult leader, hoisting him into the air with one hand. Please don't hurt me. I give me. The cult leader cried. In disgusted, Superwoman tossed the cult leader aside as gently as she could tolerate given the man's disciple actions. Spinneret walked over to stand next to her friend. The cause is everything until their own lives are in jeopardy. One of the 3 young girls said, getting to her feet. They were triplets with the same silver hair and strange pale purple eyes. Still, it's good that you spared him. If either of you or your partners ever forget what they've forgotten, that life is precious and should always be cherished and protected, then you'll become no better than they are. Another of the weird triple girls said to our superheroines. You have nothing to worry about, little girls. Spinneret said. We're the good guys. We'll never be like these monstrous fanatics. My sister was not referring to these fanatics. The third triple said, shaking her head. Superwoman and Spinneret exchanged a questioning look. When they turned back, the trio of girls was gone. The pair did a double take. Where did they go? Superwoman said, searching everywhere with her enhanced vision, including outside. What are you talking about? One of the former hostages asked. The three little girls. They were just here. Spinneret said while glancing around the truck stop. There were never any children here. Another of the former hostages said. They were standing right here a second ago. Spinneret insisted. No, they weren't. Another hostage said. If there were no children, then what did you see? And who are the fanatics they were talking about? Superwoman said to Spinneret, who simply shrugged. Underground complex in northwestern Arizona. Please, no more. The young red-haired girl begged as the robot pulled her from her dark cell. The robot took her down a long hallway where it deposited her at the feet of one of her tormentors, Mr. Sinister. Please, please, the girl pleaded. Mr. Sinister viciously backhanded her, leaving a deep purple bruise on her left cheek. Begging is for the weak. I need you to be strong, Rachel, if you are to accomplish my goals. He hissed. I'll be good. She whined, rubbing her cheek. Please don't hurt me again. At a nearby table, screams could be heard. A large mechanical walker-type robot was using two of its four top limbs to saw an arm off of a man. It then attached a mechanical appendage in place of the gruesomely amputated arm, which it batted off the table. The brutalized man passed out from a combination of pain, shock, and blood loss. His breathing became shallow as his body struggled to stay alive. The walker turned around to reveal a human brain surrounded by nutrient-rich fluids and perched within a transparent dome upon its body. We've wasted enough time with the girl, Sinister. She's a lost cause. She won't hurt others even if her life is put in danger. The walker said via its mechanically generated voice. Its dome lit up with yellow light each time the thing spoke. You're wrong, Evo. Mr. Sinister snapped at his latest partner in crime. Not that you need to concern yourself with her supposed lack of progress. Rachel Summers is my project, not yours. I was lucky to find her after she was tossed into our reality from her own alternate timeline by that anomaly several months ago. I was concerned I would have to wait for the impending birth of her brother to begin my greatest experiment yet. You should be assisting me with my cybernetic research. I know I'm close to a major breakthrough. Evo said. I'll assist you when I'm done with Rachel. Mr. Sinister insisted. Need I remind you it was I who rescued you from certain death after your last defeat at the hands of Wasp and Blue Beetle left your body all but destroyed? My near-death encounter with those two punks was more than worth it. I gleaned much useful knowledge from their cybernetics before they, with help from the original Ant-Man and Wasp, turned the proverbial tables on me. The aliens' inner workings proved especially fascinating. Evo said. Be that as it may, you still owe me. So, don't ever again attempt to dictate my research projects, Evo. Mr. Sinister said. Very well, have it your way, Sinister, Evo said. A group of three lumbering, misshapen humanoids entered the hewed-out cavern. What do you wish of us, Master? One asked. Night is nearly upon us. Go procure more test subjects, preferably young ones, from the local campgrounds and other areas of interest. My work must continue. Evo instructed. Noting the death of the subject of his latest experiment, he added. This one is no longer of any use. Dispose of his body in the usual manner. Evo's walker pulled the artificial arm free with a sickeningly wet snap. Yes, Master, the misshapen humanoid said. Displaying a vast amount of strength, it effortlessly slung the dead man over its shoulder while it and its brethren lumbered off. Mr. Sinister reached down and wrapped his right hand tightly around Rachel's small neck. Now, then, where were we? He said with a toothy grin while the girl's teeth literally chattered in fear. Content/language warning. This episode contains profanity and content that may offend more sensitive readers. Reader discretion is strongly advised. Episode 5, Demons of the Mojave Part 2. Northwestern Arizona, night. We should wait until morning, guys, Riri said while she was pulled along by an enthusiastic Annie and an equally enthusiastic John. Nah, if we do that we might miss catching a chupacabra, Annie said. They mostly come out at night, mostly, John added. And I want one, Annie said looking behind a bush. Why do you want a goat-sucking little monster? Riri asked. So we can become famous, Annie said. We'll be the first people to ever catch a chupacabra, John said. I'm sure we'll at least get an internet series. We can teach it a ton of tricks, Annie said. That would be so cool, John said. I know, Annie said. Riri shook her head in dismay. While she loved Annie and John to death, she could not help but wonder what she had gotten herself into. Her life had become so crazy in the last couple of years. Maybe I shouldn't have hacked Tony Stark's armor after all, she muttered. Huh, John said. Nothing, Riri said. Oh, I think I see one, Annie exclaimed. Me too, John said. Hey, wait up, Riri shouted as the kids ran off. In no time at all they had disappeared over a nearby ridge. By the time Riri caught up with Annie and John, they in the clutches of a huge misshapen monster. Riri attempted to activate her new armor but was blindsided by two other similar beasts. Annie attempted to warn her of their attack but it was already too late. Riri was knocked out cold. Are you a chupacabra? John asked the creature which held them fast. What is a chupacabra? It rumbled. Darn, we'll never catch one at this rate, Annie said. Morning. John, Annie, Riri, Clark called. Where are you? Peter shouted. Connor, who had scouted ahead, returned a frown on his face. I've been around the area twice. I can't find them anywhere, he said dejectedly. They couldn't have just disappeared. They're here somewhere, they have to be, Peter said. I can't pick up a signal from the tracker Colex installed in Riri's armor either, Connor said. Even when the armor is inactive I should be about to pick up a weak signal. Unless they are somewhere that the signal is being blocked, Peter surmised. Clark said. I'll be right back. Clark zipped off only to return less than a minute later. There is a large subterranean area about a mile from here that my X-ray vision is unable to penetrate. It could be nothing. Or it could be something. Let's suit up and take a look, Peter said. Underground complex, a short time later. John, Annie, and Riri found themselves in separate cages which lined the walls of a vast rough-hewn chamber. All three felt weak. Whatever the things that abducted them were, those things possessed a touch which drained you of energy. The creatures emitted a sticky electric feeling which was most unpleasant. Preliminary analysis from data gathered by my internal scanner indicates you two have a fascinating genetic makeup. Dr. Evo's electronic voice boomed from the large walker which contained his disembodied brain. He turned his attention to Riri. Your biological system has been synced with advanced nanotechnology. Once I removed it and integrate it with my cybernetics, I shall be greatly enhanced. Leave our friend alone, John shouted. Get away from her, Annie shouted. Insolent pups, I'll happily teach you some manners after I finish removing the nanotech from your friend. Dr. Evo remotely activated the electrified bars of the cells, painfully shocking John and Annie, who howled in pain. I'll return soon to begin the removal process, Dr. Evo said to Riri, sending a shiver down her spine before he lumbered off. Don't fight them. They'll only hurt you more, Rachel said from her cell next to the trio. We aren't going to let them hurt us or our friend, Annie said to the mysterious girl. Yeah, we're better than that, John said. You have to stand up to bullies, my dad says so. Mine too, Annie said. It won't help. You'll see, Rachel said. She sat down in her cell and clasped her legs. She rocked back and forth gently. Kids, we have to get out of her before Dr. Robo Frankenstein returns, Riri said. John, Annie, can either of you pry open the bars? I don't think I can, John said. I feel sick. Yeah, I feel so weak. I just want to go to sleep, Annie said, fighting to keep her eyes open. I feel pretty bad too, Riri said. Those things that grabbed us did something to us, they must have. Maybe we're drugged. My armor isn't responding to my mental commands. I can't activate it. She glanced down at the silver-colored bracelet that encircled her left wrist. She felt utterly defeated. Riri's expression of dismay slowly turned to one of steely determination. Stop making excuses, Riri. You've got to save yourself and, more importantly, these kids. You've always wanted to be a hero, now is your chance, step up. Prove your many detractors wrong. She thought. Before Riri could formulate a plan, the three misshapen monsters came flying into the chamber. They attempted to stand but were leveled by a blur. It was Connor. He had arrived to save her and the kids, and just in the nick of time. Without a thought for his safety, Superboy pulled the bars from Riri's cell with a mighty tug, oblivious to the powerful electrical shock he received in return. The pair quickly embraced. I thought I lost you, Superboy said, holding Riri close. Never, Riri said, tears in her eyes. The kids. On it, Superboy said. He punched the wall several times until it collapsed. Annie, John, and Rachel were free. Who is she? Superboy asked Riri as Superman and Spiderman arrived. Spiderman webbed the prone creatures firmly to the floor. Best not take any chances. I'm not sure. She was here when we arrived, Riri said. She felt her armor prompt come back online. Yes. Riri donned her pink, black, and gold armor, becoming Ironheart. She swayed on her feet. Superboy held her tighter so she did not fall. Those creatures, I think they produce some sort of toxin. Avoid touching them if you can. I think you better sit this one out, babe, Superboy said. No way, Ironheart said. I'll be all right, give me time. Dad, Annie said, running to her father as John did the same. The reunion was short-lived, however. Dr. Evo stomped back into the chamber. He seethed with anger when he saw what had occurred. You'll pay for your meddling, heroes, Dr. Evo declared. Superman surveyed the ghastly blood-soaked, gore-encrusted, limb-strewn operating table nearby. A ghastly sight if there ever was one. His expression turned hard. The only one who will be doing any paying today is you, Dr. Evo, he declared, recognizing the voice of the insane doctor in spite of electronic enhancement and lack of a body. Spare me the bravado, alien. My current form is more than a match you and your equally misguided allies, Dr. Evo stated coldly. Allow me to demonstrate. Dr. Evo's massive walker glowed yellow for a second. It emitted a series of 3 yellow energy pulses which pushed his opponents against the walls of the chambers. They screamed out in pain, their bodies felt like they were on fire, except for Ironheart, whose armor protected her from Evo's biobeam weapon. Ironheart flew at Evo. She gathered speed, hoping to cause impact damage, but she was effortlessly swatted aside by one of his 6 upper limbs. He fired a red laser beam from one of his limbs which left a smoking hole in her armor. Ironheart fell to the floor, waiting for her armor to slowly regenerate. Enraged, Superboy fired his heat vision beams at Dr. Evo, who blocked them with a red energy bubble that appeared around his walker. Evo then projected his protective energy bubble at Superboy. When the bubble reached Superboy, it encased him briefly before it imploded, exploding violently when it made contact with Superboy's form. Stunned, Superboy fell next to Ironheart. Ha 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 ha, Dr. Evo laughed. How pathetic. Spider-Man and Superman exchanged a glance, each nodded. Years of working intermittently together now come to the fore. Spider-Man began webbing up Evo's legs while Superman used his ice breath to freeze Evo into a solid block of ice. I doubt that will hold him long, Superman said. Long enough I hope, Spider-Man said. Hey, Ironheart, I need to borrow your onboard computer for a sec. Alright, Ironheart said, getting herself and Superboy back on their feet. What do you need? Find out if our grumpy metal buddy is remotely synced with the systems in this place via some type of Wi-Fi connection, Spider-Man said. Checking, he is, Ironheart announced. Is the connection protected? Spider-Man asked as the block of ice holding Dr. Evo began to rapidly crack. Nope, Iron here confirmed. Arrogant, Spider-Man said, wagging his right index finger. Ironheart, hack him. With pleasure, Spider-Man, Ironheart said. A few seconds later Dr. Evo burst from the ice cube and webbing. He roared in anger. He began to power up for his next attack, but nothing happened. Instead his walker began to shut down. What is happening? Dr. Evo asked with alarm. You've been hacked, creep, Ironheart said. See children, this is why a minimum 2-step authentication process is so important, Spider-Man said to John, Annie, and Rachel. I will, Dr. Evo threatened before his vocalizer went offline. I dislike supervillains in general, but I especially despise stupid ones who claim they are geniuses, Superman said. Hey, jokes are my territory. Spider-Man mock protested, which caused everyone to laugh. Whatever is that commotion? Mr. Sinister said, entering the chamber through a side passage different than the one used by Superman, Superboy, and Superman to gain entrance earlier. He froze in his tracks when he saw the group of heroes. His eyes passed from them to Rachel, who was shaking in fear. It's the bad man. Don't let him take. She wailed. Mr. Sinister dove for Rachel. He elbowed a startled Spider-Man and Ironheart aside. Superboy grabbed his legs, but he kicked Superboy in the face with surprising viciousness and force. Both John and Annie were still too weak to intervene. He roughly grabbed Rachel by the front of her dress and threw her over his right shoulder. He turned, intending to beat a hasty retreat, but his pathway was blocked by Superman. Put the girl down. I won't ask you again. Superman said. I need her. She is the key to destroying Apocalypse and his latest consort Silver Banshee, along with any progeny they may yet produce. What is one life when weighed against millions, perhaps billions, who would otherwise be lost should those monsters have their way? Mr. Sinister pleaded. Help me save us all, or else stand aside, Kryptonian. Filled with disgust, Superman scowled. I refuse to allow arithmetic, genuine or more likely not, to determine the perceived value of any life, Superman said. Let her go. Mr. Sinister faked left, then went right to avoid Superman, who lunged at him. Even though it was risky, Superman knew he had no choice. He fired his heat vision into the small of Mr. Sinister's back. Mr. Sinister screamed in pain. His flesh vaporized into a mess of bubbling green foam. For whatever reason, as with X-Men member Cyclops, Sinister's body could not readily regenerate damage caused by Superman's eye beams. He fell forward onto his face. Superman sped over and caught the panicking Rachel before she hit the ground. It's okay, honey, it's over, Superman said, cradling the frightened girl in his arms. He can't hurt you anymore. Mr. Sinister meanwhile withered on the ground in sheer agony. Promise, Rachel said, looking up at Superman with her big green eyes. I promise, Superman said. Spider-Man, back on his feet, placed a comforting hand on his best friend's shoulder. We both do, Spider-Man said. Sorry, we just got here, Superwoman asked, bursting in with Iron Spider, both of whom were ready for a fight. What did we miss? Iron Spider asked. The others exchanged glances before they again laughed. Much later. We'll be sending Evo and Sinister to the Ultramax Icebox prison in Antarctica for safekeeping. Steve Trevors, chief of the UN Special Task Force for Superpowered Criminals, said. The 3 creatures they enslaved and likely genetically altered will be sent to a SHIELD facility for possible rehabilitation. About a dozen people have disappeared from this area in recent months, including several children of varying ages. We suspect these creatures might be 3 of them. What about the girl, Rachel? Superman asked. That's the oddest thing, Steve said. She says her name is Rachel Summers and that lived in upstate New York with her parents until they died. Get this, they were members of the X-Men named Scott Summers and Jean Summers. Okay, Spider-Man said. Any idea why she thinks Rachel and Scott are her parents or that they are dead? None, Steve said. We've contacted the Summers and requested DNA samples for comparison. The shackled Mr. Sinister snarled at Superman as he hobbled away surrounded on either side by a group of heavily armed guards. You're on my enemies list. You'll rue the day we crossed paths, mark my words. Whatever, Superman said, having heard it all before. Enjoy your stay in Antarctica. I hear the weather is lovely down there this time of the year, Spider-Man said. Kent residence in Metropolis 3 days later, afternoon. Clark sat alone in his study. The events of the past few days had made him think. He could have lost his son, and his best friend could have lost his daughter, and his brother could have lost the love of the young man's life. The girl Rachel Summers turned out to indeed be the daughter of Jean and Scott. Even though it was theorized that Rachel originated from some parallel universe, Jean welcomed her new daughter with open arms, not so Scott, who felt the girl was not truly his own. Life was so short and family so precious, they must be held close, Clark realized now more than ever. On his smartphone, Clark dialed an unfamiliar number. He took a deep breath to steady himself for what was to come. Admitting one was wrong, that they misjudged another was never easy, even for Superman. Hello, Karen, this is Clark, don't hang up. I want to talk about a lot of things. But first I need to apologize. The way I've treated you was wrong. If you're willing, I hope we can start over, maybe be a family, cousin. Episode 6, The Wedding Prologue. Baxter Building, New York City, evening. I will miss you. Beatrice da Costa, codename Fire, said to her fiancé Johnny Storm, the Human Torch. I'll miss you more. Johnny Storm insisted, kissing her. Now, I'll miss you more, Beatrice said when they came up for air. Gag me with a spoon. It'll only be one night, you pair of flame heads. Ben Grimm the Thing grumbled from nearby. But it's the first time I have been away for my smoochy poo since we became engaged. Beatrice lamented. How about he goes with you to Kat's bachelorette party? Our pretty boy could strip for the ladies, I'm sure he'd be a big hit. Ben snickered. Now, the native Portuguese speaker said, shaking her vigorously. Other women cannot look at my smoochy poo naked. Beatrice was mortified by the very thought of other women lusting after her Johnny. Ben continued to snicker. Don't mind him, my sweet fire pop, he's just jealous of our love, Johnny said. Whatever, Ben said. If you two can pry yourselves apart, we'll be leaving for Jersey in about an hour. Bats is expecting myself, Stretcho and Loverboy here for his bachelor party. He then left the room, not wanting to be around the pair any longer than necessary. He's right, you know. We better get ready soon, Johnny said. Beatrice looked down at her feet. She chewed on her lower lip nervously. What's wrong, my fire pop? He asked, gently stroking Beatrice's cheek. Beatrice looked up at Johnny. Her expression pained. This party will be the first I have attended since Talos the Skrull murdered my best friend, Tora Olafsdotter aka Ice, before my very eyes, Beatrice said. There was nothing I could do to stop him. I felt so helpless. If you had not been there that day, I do not know what would have become of me. Beatrice embraced Johnny while she gently sobbed. Hush, Johnny said, stroking her hair. You've come a long way in the past 2 years. Remember when you couldn't even go outside? Now look at you. You're a valued member of the Fantastic Five. You were even the MVP during our last mission. You saved our butts from Mole Man and his army after they captured the rest of us when they tunneled into Central Park. Beatrice smiled weakly at Johnny. Thank you, she sniffed. No more crying, promise. I want you to have a good time tonight with my sister and our friends. Johnny said. I will try, Beatrice said with maintaining her forced smile. That's my girl, Johnny said with a smile of his own. Royal Palace Wakanda, night. I do not approve. I will never approve. T'Challa, King of Wakanda and the current Black Panther, said firmly. The boy is not a fit candidate for my sister's consort. He stood in the royal apartments with his wife. And why exactly is that? His queen Mari Jaiwe McCabe aka Vixen asked, a bemused expression on her face. For one, he's more machine than man. What if my sister wants children someday? Could he sire them? T'Challa said. If their relationship reaches that point, which it very well may not, I'm sure Shuri and Victor, codename Cyborg for his extensive cybernetic implants, will work something out given their mutual intelligence and resources, Mari said. I should never have allowed their courtship. I should have put my foot down when this infatuation began. T'Challa said. We both know Shuri is too much of a free spirit for that to have worked. She'd have only ended up resenting you. Mari correctly observed. The boy isn't one of us, T'Challa said. Excuse me, Mari said, a bit taken aback. He wasn't born here in Africa. He does not know our ways. T'Challa said. I remember some in your court felt the same about me, Mari said. It was not the same. You grew up on the banks of the Zambezi River to the south of Wakanda. You only moved to America when you were a teenager to protect the source of your power from your wicked uncle General Maxi. T'Challa said. Victor Stone's family has been in America for generations. I doubt he's ever set foot in the continent. A princess of Wakanda needs a prince who is of Africa, not an aloof foreigner. Shuri is an intelligent, free-spirited young woman. If you meddle in her personal life, she'll never forgive you. Do you want to lose your sister forever? Mari asked her husband. No, T'Challa answered. But I don't like it. Victor Stone is a fine young man. Could it be your object is not to him but rather to the idea of Shuri having a boyfriend? Mari said. T'Challa was stubborn but fair-minded. He would admit a mistake if countered enough by reason. T'Challa sighed. I promised my parents I would always watch over Shuri. And you will. We both will. Mari said. She placed a hand on T'Challa's shoulder. You truly are as wise as you are alluring. Whatever would I do without you, my lovely queen? T'Challa said a moment later. He put his arms around Vixen's waist and pulled her close. What would I ever do without you, my handsome, brave, smart, pig-headed king? Mari said, putting her hands around T'Challa's neck. The two kissed, then kissed again. Soon they were engaged in a heavy make-out session. What about Selena's and Bruce's parties? We are expected to attend. Mari asked between kisses. Commoner gatherings must wait when a king desires his queen, T'Challa said. He picked up a giggling Mari and carried her to their bedchamber. Gotham City, New Jersey, evening. Are you clear what I want from you? Bane asked Holly Robinson, who sat across from him inside the passenger compartment of a stretched black limousine. Sure, convince my friend Selena she should dump Bat's ass at the altar, because if she doesn't he'll become happy and an ineffective crime fighter, Holly said from her position seated across from the immense Bane. Ah, this is my stop, Holly said when the limousine came to a halt. Holly was about to get up to leave when Bane placed one of his huge, beefy hands on her knee. He squeezed hard enough to cause her to yelp in pain. If you fail or betray him, I'll use your bones as a tambourine. Bane threatened. I won't fail. I hate the Bat too, remember. His sanctimonious self isn't good enough for Selena. Holly gasped. Cold fear gripped her heart. This guy was scary. See that you don't. Bane said, releasing his grip. Holly hurried outside before Bane decided he did not require her services after all. The limousine sped off. Holly meanwhile smoothed out the wrinkles in her fancy dress and hailed a cab. She had a bachelorette party to attend and, more importantly, a wedding to ruin. Episode 7, The Wedding Part 1. Gotham City, New Jersey, evening. Yup, we're lost. Kitty Pryde grumbled from behind the wheel of the car as she sat in the gathering gloom. I thought you knew where this place is. That you went there with your boyfriend plenty of times, she snapped at Jubilee, who occupied the front passenger seat. Well, Tim and I never actually went to the Iceberg Lounge. It's a nightclub and the drinking age in New Jersey is 21 and we're both 20. But we're going there this fall after our birthdays, hee hee. Jubilee said nervously. What? Kitty said. We've been driving around for hours lost in a maze of back crime-infested alleys, our GPS is on the fritz, and you have no idea where we're going. I'm going to kill you, Jubilee. Calm down, Sug, I'll ask for directions, said Anna Marie, who was better known by her code name of Rogue. Don't get out of the car, Rogue, they'll kill you. We're in Gotham, Kitty said. I'll go with you. I've been around the city a few times over the years when visiting my cousin Tim. Robert Bobby Drake offered. He was seated in the back alongside Rogue. Thanks for introducing us, by the way, Bobby, Jubilee said. No prob, I was glad to. You guys make a nice couple, Bobby said with a smile. Nah, Bobby, I'll be fine, Rogue said, leaving the car. Hang tight, Suggs, I'll be back in a jiffy. Rogue was wrong. It took her over half an hour and 2.5 city blocks before she found someone who knew where the Iceberg Lounge was located. It turned out they were nowhere near the place. Rogue had started back when she saw, or thought she saw, Selina's friend Holly Robinson being let out of a limousine. Nice. Rogue was about to say hello when she spotted Holly's companion, Bane. Thinking fast, Rogue ducked into an alleyway across the street so she could watch what was happening. The Iceberg Lounge, later. Wah, right this way, ladies and gentlemen. The Penguin greeted his latest guests. He cocked an eyebrow when he saw Bobby was part of the group. Are you sure you're on the list, young man? He asked Bobby pointedly. I'm sure. But you can check if you want, Bobby Drake, Bobby said with a grin. Ah, yes, here you are, Penguin said. He gave Bobby another odd look. I apologize, but men don't typically attend bachelorette parties. Well, I'm not a typical man, Bobby said, winking at Penguin, rendering him speechless for a moment. Yes, right this way, Penguin stammered. Bobby, you're bad, Kitty laughed. Are you okay, Rogue? You've been pretty quiet since you left to go get directions, Jubilee asked, concerned about her friend. I saw something I don't like, Rogue said with a frown. I'm not surprised. Gotham can be a rough place, Jubilee said. Do you want to talk about it? Maybe later, Sug, Rogue said. Okay, Jubilee said, deciding not to press the matter. Hey, over here, Lois waved from a booth where she was seated with Mary Jane, the woman of the hour, Selina, between them. In the booths on either side of the three women were seated other well-known female superheroes, from Wonder Woman Diana Prince Rogers to Wasp Janet Pym. What took you guys so long? A very pregnant Jean Summers asked. Did you forget Lost in Big, Bad Gotham? Emma Frost teased. We got here, didn't we, Emma? Kitty said forcefully. Kitty, already in a bad mood, had no patience for the abrasive blonde. Meow, and here I thought being catty was Selina's gimmick, Emma said. Take it easy, Kitty, Lois said. I'm not the biggest fan of Emma's lack of manners either, but she is Selina's bestie. That she is, Selina confirmed. Emma is the reason we're here today. She convinced me to give Bruce a second chance after Helena was born. If it wasn't for our conversation in Europe, I'd have never come back to the States. Selena, you were actually going to leave Bruce for good and never tell him about his daughter? Sue Richards asked. Next to Sue sat Beatrice, who seemed rather unhappy to be in attendance. I would have, yes. Selena said, shaking her head sadly. At the time, I felt things would be better if I broke all ties with my past, including with Bruce. I was within an hour of finalizing Helena's adoption when I ran into Emma. Once I learned why she was in Europe, I told her what a terrible mistake she was about to make, Emma said, sipping from her drink. And then we fought Norman Osborn together along with his freaky Black Spider clan. I do very much hate the Black Spiders. They are nasty to deal with. Their webs get everywhere. One of them was bad enough, but then Osborn had to have Mr. Sinister create several more based on Jackal's original. Emma glanced over at Mary Jane. How many clones of your hubby are there running around anyhow? Too many, Mary Jane scowled. I took Emma's advice, the rest is history. 3 years later I couldn't be happier. Helena loves her papa. We're about to officially become one big happy family. Selena said, sipping from her drink. Although I have been warned by Cassandra to watch my step. I think Damien hates me. Selena chuckled. Cassie said she'll kill me if I break her adopted father's heart or hurt Damien. Everyone stared at Selena in shock. Selena shrugged. Cassie being Cassie, what are you going to do? Yeah, Mary Jane said. Jean, I heard you have a new unexpected addition to your family, congratulations, Janet said. How is little Rachel adjusting? I know a new family member can be a challenge. Hank and I had our hands full when Nadia joined our family. The poor girl was traumatized by what was done to her by those monsters in Russia. But 4 years later she's a happy, well-adjusted teenager who loves us and her little sister Hope. Rachel would be doing better if Scott wasn't being so pig-headed, Jean said, adjusting herself in her seat so she would be more comfortable. When Rachel says anything to him, Scott tells her, I'm not your real father, go ask Jean, I'm busy. I'm getting very tired of his poor attitude. Think nothing of it, dear. Men are always pig-headed, Emma said, she added, looking at Bobby. Not you, Bobby darling. I meant real men. You're like one of us girls. Gee, thanks, Emma, Bobby said. What, ladies people, put your hands together and give a warm welcome for tonight's entertainment. He's Gotham's hottest act, Dark Enforcer. Penguin said from his position in the center of the stage. Penguin stepped back through the red satin curtain as a tall, muscular, masked figure in a leather suit appeared. Jazzy techno music played as the lights considerably dimmed and the figure danced. The women and Bobby hooped and hollered their approval. The figure slowly, sensually stripped off his clothing until he was left in only a black G-string and his mask. After twerking for about a minute, he spun around, ripping off his mask as the house lights brightened back up. Richard, oh my God! Laura exclaimed, recognizing Nightwing. Laura, what are you doing here? Dick Grayson said. He froze with a deer in headlights look plastered on his face when he saw who his audience was. How could you embarrass me in front of our friends like this? Laura yelled at her boyfriend. She jumped out of her seat in anger. I didn't know who I was dancing for, I swear. Richard said. How long have you been a stripper in Gotham? Laura demanded to know. Why are you even a stripper? You didn't live here anymore. You, live in Bloodhaven. You have plenty of money from Bruce and your own regular job, so why? I enjoy the thrill. Richard offered weakly. Encore, encore, Emma said loudly, clapping. Take it all off. I can't, Laura said. She ran out of the club. Richard was going to follow but remembered his semi-naked state and thought better of it. You have a nice butt, Bobby offered. Indeed you do. Your body is a work of art worthy of any Greek statue. Diana Rogers, Wonder Woman, who was seated next to Jean, said. Thanks, I guess, Richard said blushing. Oh man, I've seen Tim's big brother naked, Jubilee said. He's far from nude, child. We haven't been treated to his unit yet. Given the rest of him, I bet it is spectacular. Emma said, licking her ruby lips. How much to fully disrobe? Sorry, the show is over. I have to find Laura. Richard said, gathering up his costume. Emma booed loudly. Everyone else was too shocked or embarrassed to say any more. I don't think we can top that, Mary Jane said to Lois. The pair had organized the event. True, Lois conceded. Rogue then spotted Holly, who had just arrived. Rogue got out of her seat and approached the other woman. While everyone else was still distracted by Richard's antics, Rogue grabbed Holly's arm with her gloved hands. We need to talk. In private, Sug. Rogue said, guiding Holly into the women's bathroom, which was otherwise deserted. Do I know you? Holly asked. I'm Anna Marie, but everyone calls me Rogue, Rogue said. I remember you. We meet at the Bat's place when that crazy Magneto guy tried to turn everyone here in Gotham into mutants last year. Holly said. We prefer the term natural meta-humans these days, Sug, less baggage, Rogue said. Okay, Holly said. What did you bring me in here for? I might be bisexual, but we barely know each other. Rogue blushed in spite of herself. I didn't bring you in here for anything like that, Sug. I saw you getting out of Bane's limousine. My friends and I got lost on our way here. I got out to ask for directions. I spotted you, then I spotted Bane. Rogue said. I have no idea why you would hang out with such a bad apple, Sug. Holly sighed deeply. I suppose there is no point trying to lie. He wants me to break up Cat and Bat. Convince Selina if she goes through with the wedding, the Bat will lose his edge and Gotham will go all to shit as a result. Why does Bane want them broken up? Rogue asked. He thinks it'll mentally compromise the Bat, then he'll destroy him, rule Gotham, Holly said. Holly sighed again. In a way, I'm glad it's over. I didn't want to do that to Selina or Helena or even to the Bat. Now what? Now we tell Selina and the others, then kick some butt, Sug, Rogue said, slapping her gloved fist into her palm. He'll kill me once he finds out I double-crossed him, you know. Holly said, resigned to her fate. He won't get the chance. I promise, Sug. Rogue said. I hope you're right. I don't want to die. Holly said. There is something else. What? Rogue said, almost afraid to ask. Bane isn't alone in his scheme. He has a partner. Holly stated. Who is his partner? Rogue said. I have no idea, only that the partner is someone Bane respects, probably fears, which is bad news, Holly said. Remember your promise. Don't worry, Sug. I'll protect you no matter what, cross my heart. Rogue said, crossing her heart. I hope you can keep your promise, I really do, Holly said. You have to tell the others what you've told me, Rogue said. Holly sighed for the third time. Maybe I'd be better off if Bane did make good on his threats. Selina will be pissed. Holly said. Better to face the music now than later, Sug, Rogue offered her hand, which Holly accepted. The pair then left the bathroom. Episode 8, The Wedding Part 2. The Batcave, Gotham City, New Jersey, evening. Do you have any sevens? Steve Rogers asked. Captain America was seated around a large round table with Aquaman, Human Torch, Thor, Cyborg, Green Arrow, and the Thing. Go fish, Cap. Arthur Curry said, to which Johnny Storm could not stop laughing for about 20 seconds. Aquaman shot Human Torch a dirty look that failed to silence Johnny. Red Hood Jason Todd sat next to Clint Barton Hawkeye on one of several black leather sofas drinking beers. Nearby, Clark and Peter attempted to engage Bruce Wayne in a game of Would You Rather, complete with printed playing cards. Okay, he's a tough one, Peter said, being overly dramatic. Would you rather fight Doomsday single-handedly or kiss the Thing? Fight Doomsday, Clark answered without hesitation. Hey, why does the other option always have to involve me? Ben Grimm bemoaned. Because you're such a lovable big lug. Peter teased. So what will it be, Bats? Don't call me that, Bruce said, his legendary broodiness in full effect. Okay, Peter said, feeling a bit intimidated by the glowering Dark Knight. What is your answer? Which version of Doomsday? Is he the version first encountered by us when he incapacitated Clark, or a later incarnation? What level of intelligence is he operating under, feral, human level, or enhanced? Bruce inquired. Also the Master Prepper. First encounter and feral, Peter said. In that case, fight Doomsday, Bruce answered, earning himself a grumble from the Thing. This party sucks, Jason said with a burp after finishing his latest beer, one of 4 he had polished off in as many hours. You got that right. Clint agreed with a burp of his own. Next time someone gets hitched, we aren't letting Big Blue or Spidey organize the festivities, Ben said. Agreed, everyone thundered in unison, including even Bruce, who usually did not care about such matters, save for Clark and Peter. I'm offended, Peter said. What's wrong with the way we organized parties? Clark asked. You guys are nerds. Because you're nerds you have lame tastes, Johnny said. Sorry, but it is true, said Doctor Strange, who was doing a few minor magic tricks in a corner to pass the time. The Man of Fire is correct, Thor said, lazily twirling his hammer between hands of Go Fish. Yeah, you guys don't know the first thing about having fun, Cyborg said, who was leaning against a wall. We can too have fun, Peter said. Pete, you and Clark are both too uptight to ever cut loose. Playing Go Fish and Would You Rather at a bachelor party, come on guys. Barry Allen the Flash chuckled. We're not lame, are we? Peter said, looking at Clark. Of course not. We're wholesome. Clark said. We're wholesome, Peter said in agreement. Well, boring bachelor party aside, I'm simply happy my cousin is finally tying the knot with Selena. I thought those two would never get married. Catherine Kate Kane said. She stood next to Bruce holding a beer in her hand. As I recall, you took your sweet time marrying Maggie, Bruce said, mildly annoyed by his cousin's comment. Hey, part of that wasn't my fault. Less than a week from my wedding I was enthralled by the Vampiris Nocturna, Kate said. She shivered at the memory of her year-long servitude to nocturnes, during which time she was little more than a mental puppet. What's your excuse? Afraid of commitment, Barry offered. A workaholic, Johnny offered. Being an inconsiderate jerk, Jason said, earning himself one of Bruce's notorious bat glares. Don't listen to them. I think it is wonderful you and Selena are making it official, said Tim Drake, who strolled into the Batcave's rec room in full Red Robin gear. What are you doing here, Tim? Is everything all right in Gotham? Bruce asked, bolting out of his seat. Everything's fine. Someone insists on joining your party. Tim stepped aside to reveal Deadpool. Unlike everyone else, save for Tim, Deadpool was not dressed in civilian clothes, but rather his costume, mask and all. Allo, all, Wade said. My invitation must have gotten lost in the mail, but hey, I wouldn't let a minor oversight keep me from attending Bill's big send-off. He walked over and draped his arm around Bruce's shoulders. My name is Bruce, not Bill, and I barely know you, Bruce said, throwing Wade's arm off. Details, minor unimportant details, Wade said, looking around. Whew, it looks like I got here in the nick of time. This party is on life support. Wade fiddled with the wall-mounted sound system controls until the Batcave was rocking with ear-splitting heavy metal music. Bruce immediately went behind him and turned the music down to a tolerable level. Allow me to introduce our entertainment for the evening. 6 scantily female Skrulls stepped out of the shadows. Each wore a metal collar studded with pale blue LEDs. These girls I think they're girls, whatever, can't always be sure with Skrulls, can fulfill any fantasy you have no matter how sick and twisted. Want to punish a naughty schoolgirl, check. Want to have fun with a bad girl supervillain, sure thing. Bats want to indulge in your secret Joker fantasy, can do. Hey, who am I to judge? Got to love shapeshifters, am I right? I don't have a secret Joker fantasy. Bruce vehemently protested. Whatever you say there, big fella, Wade said. Tim, how could you let him bring Skrull sex workers into the Batcave? Bruce snarled at his adopted son while Jason and Clint were dancing with the Skrulls. Sorry, he can be very persuasive, Tim said, scratching the back of his head nervously, my bad. We'll have a serious talk about this later, Bruce said. Wade, where did you get this ladies? Kate asked, trying her hardest to pry one of the Skrulls off of her. The alien was eager to please, of that there was no doubt. They're on loan from a tip-toppy secret governmental detention facility out west. I can't say where exactly, it's very hush-hush. A guy there owed me a huge favor, make that several huge favors. I saved his bacon when he accidentally shipped a bunch of Staros to SeaWorld, or was it Disneyland? I can't remember. Boy, what a fun romp that was. I needed a month to clean my katanas. Damn space jelly stains like an sob. Wade said in conspiratorial fashion, leaning in close to Kate so he could whisper. Get out, right now. And take your friends with you. Bruce said, losing his patience. Geez, some people are so ungrateful. Come on girls, guys, whatever, we're not wanted here. I'll see myself out. Wade said, turning up his nose. Oh no, you don't, Bruce said. Tim, see that Deadpool and these Skrull have their minds wiped before they leave. You have easily accessible quick use mind wiping tech, impressive. Whistled Tony Stark, who had remained silent up until now. Wayne Industries does, don't get any ideas, Stark. I'm not in a mood to share. Bruce said. Chill, no need to worry. You keep your toys, I'll keep mine. Tony said, putting his hands up in a show of submission. Worst party ever, Jason said, getting another beer from one of 3 coolers. Does thou have any 10s? Thor said, returning to the game as Deadpool and co were escorted outside by Tim. Go fish, Green Arrow said. Tower of Fate outside of normal space/time. Wanda Maximoff, formerly Scarlet Witch, daughter of Magento and sister of Quicksilver, leaned over the balcony atop the tower. She briefly considered jumping but banished the thought from her mind. She knew from experience she would not die from the fall. She did much enjoy the thought of climbing back up, which she would have to do as her powers were all but non-existent here. Why don't you kill me? I want to die. I deserve to die after what I tried to do. And my torture. Wanda said, sensing the all too familiar presence of Dr. Fate behind her. I do not unjustly punish. I am not a cold-blooded murderer, nor a monster. I sense you are not evil, rather you are ill, an illness of the mind, of the soul. I must keep you here, your powers restrained until you recover. Dr. Fate said. What if I never recover? Wanda asked, not looking at Dr. Fate. She continued to gaze out at the maelstrom of multicolored light that surrounded the tower. Its seemingly chaotic patterns were beautiful in a haunting way. There are few absolutes in all of creation. I doubt your current condition is one of them. Eventually, I feel you shall recover. Dr. Fate said. But do I want to? I almost hurt so many people, ruined so many lives because I was angry, so angry and hopeless. Wanda said. She turned around and began to cry. Dr. Fate offered her a comforting embrace, which she happily accepted. I loved them. I loved him. Our children and Vision. None of it was real. It felt real. I wanted them to pay for tricking me, the Avengers and the others. I hated them, maybe I still do. They hurt me. I wanted them to feel my pain more than anything before you stopped me. I know it is no excuse. I know I was wrong. I'm a bad person. You should give up on me. I'm a lost cause. You are not a lost cause, Wanda Maximoff. Many entities do bad things, few, however, are truly bad at their cores. Dr. Fate said. I sense you have a part to play yet for good. In time your destiny will be revealed. I hope you're right. Wanda sniffed, gazing at Dr. Fate through watery eyes. I feel tired. I need to lay down. As you wish. Dr. Fate said. Dr. Fate was guiding Wanda inside when the sky above cracked open. For a short time, inky blackness tinged with red seeped through, turning everything dark and stormy. A howling wind buffeted the tower. Then as quickly as it started, the crack sealed itself and the storm abated. What was that? Wanda asked in hushed awe. A troubling omen caused by an impending imbalance of nature, the cause of which, I am uncertain. Dr. Fate stated. I hope you can help prevent it, Wanda said. As do I. Dr. Fate said. Come, you must rest. Laboratory of Dr. Pamela Lillian, Isley, Utah, dusk. Poison Ivy watched her enormous pet black mercy ungulate. She had grown the creature from a cutting stolen from Horizon Labs years ago. She nicknamed it Bad Mama due to its size and aggressive, even by Black Mercy standards, nature. Ivy found the planet's unnatural movements hypnotic. She lovingly stroked one of its many slimy black-green tendrils. Typically a Black Mercy would attack any animal that dared venture too close, placing them in an illusionary reality while it fed upon them constructed around their fondest desires. Only Ivy's telepathic influence on plant life kept her safe from the Black Mercy's ravenous appetite for animal flesh. Soon you'll be my greatest accomplishment, pet. The ultimate being. Ivy said. She reached over with a pair of metal tongs to a nearby table, picking up an irregularly shaped softball-sized glowing green rock. It was difficult, but I obtained a chunk of gamma-infused soil from the test site which birthed that animal abomination, the Incredible Hulk. I figured if gamma radiation could make a worthless wimp such as Bruce Banner into one of the most powerful beings on Earth, imagine what gamma could do to a fine specism of planet life such as yourself. Ivy carefully dropped the chuck into the middle of Bad Mama. The Black Mercy greedily sucked down the hardened soil. Ivy took several steps back, putting down the tongs on a nearby table. She waited a minute, then 2, then 3, yet nothing happened. A dud. Experiments do occasionally fail, Ivy conceded with barely disguised disappointment. Ivy once again moved closer to her pet. She started stroking its tendrils. Don't worry, Bad Mama. I'm sure we'll have better luck next time. Ivy tried to move away. She had other matters that required her attention, but found Bad Mama held her firmly in place. Without warning, multiple tendrils encircled Ivy's limbs and torso. Screaming in fear, Ivy was pulled into the green, suddenly glowing mass which completely engulfed her. The engorged mass sluggishly crawled to the nearest wall, to which it firmly anchored itself. A glossy hard green shell formed around the mass as the glow slowly dimmed, but it did not cease. For more than a day the lab was quiet, until a massive blast of red energy mixed with green shattered the mass, obliterating everything nearby. Ivy and Bad Mama were no more. In their place stood a being of immense power. I'm magnificent. The forest green-skinned statuesque woman declared after examining her body. She flexed the toned green muscles of her well-portioned form. Truly, I am a goddess. She stood 8 feet tall. She possessed a mane of mid-back length flaming red hair, framed by a tangle of dark glossy green leaves that resembled a crown of thorns. Her eyes were solid red. More leaves covered her body, crotch, and butt, forming a faux bustier/bodysuit. Leaves likewise covered her feet and shins along with her hands and forearms. Each finger was tipped by a pointed red nail, as was each toe. For far too long animals have dominated planets, usurping control of this world from its intended rulers. Earth must change, and who better to usher in a new era than a goddess, the Jade Goddess. The newly dubbed Jade Goddess said. The only thing that stands between plantkind and our rightful place atop the pyramid of life is that useless guardian of the green, Swamp Thing. Once I take his place as guardian of the green, nothing will stop our revolution. Today our time begins and the reign of animal life ends. Jade Goddess emitted a dazzling aura of red mixed with green energy with a few flecks of black floating in between the primary colors. Her eyes blazed redder than ever. She levitated high into the air, then shot into the heavens faster than could any rocket. To be continued. Episode 9, The Wedding Part 3. Arkham Asylum, Gotham City, New Jersey, morning. I assure you Mr. Dorrance is incapable of mastering minding such an elaborate scheme. His psychological condition is dire. He remains non-responsive to all forms of treatment. He's at best semi-catatonic on good days. Insisted the current director of Arkham Asylum, Dr. Ashley Kafka, while adjusting her glasses. Be that as it may, Director Kafka, we have reason to believe he poses a potential threat to public safety. Diana Prince Rogers, Wonder Woman, said. After hearing Holly's story, Selina contacted the Amazon princess for assistance. Wonder Woman and her longtime partner/husband Captain America were universally beloved and respected by the public due to their activities during World War II. Being official heroes registered with the American government, they carried a tremendous amount of clout with most officials. Very well, Dr. Kafka said with a sigh. You can question him, Wonder Woman, but I doubt he'll be responsive. Perhaps I can be of assistance. Emma Frost, White Queen, offered. How so? Dr. Kafka asked. Simple, I'll use my psychic powers to probe his mind. I'll soon get to the bottom of this. White Queen said nonchalantly. Absolutely not, one of the two guards who stood next to Dr. Kafka said. We can't subject our patients to cruel and unusual punishment. Relax, he'll be unharmed. White Queen said. She has a criminal record. We can't trust her. She's the White Queen. The guard had pointed out. I don't have a criminal record. My reputation is spotless. I'll probe his mind for the truth if Director Kafka approves. Jean Summers offered. Do you promise my patient won't be harmed in any way? Dr. Kafka asked. You have my word, Jean said. Director Kafka, this is most irregular. The guard said. I'll approve of it, but I must be present to observe what happens. Dr. Kafka said. Director Kafka, I must dash, the guard began, only to be cut off by Dr. Kafka. You can lodge a formal protest when this is over, Ralph. Dr. Kafka snapped at the guard. She turned her attention back to the female superheroes. Only 3 of you can attend this session, such as it is. Wonder Woman, Jean, and Catwoman accompanied Dr. Kafka and her guards to Bane's cell. Meanwhile, the other bachelorette party attendees remained behind in the waiting home. The 3 female superheroes passed specially designed cells containing a veritable host of baddies of every description on their way. I am the ultimate insanity. Cower before my chaotic might. Carnage ranted, bouncing off the microwave shield of his cell door. Hi, kitty cat, tell Bats I'm be seeing him soon, ha ha ha, Joker said, taunted Catwoman from his cell door. No crowbar motel on this planet can hold me for long. I'll destroy you all when I break free. Talos the Skrull threatened while pounding on his electrically charged cell door. They're fishing for a reaction, ignore them, Wonder Woman advised. I thought Talos, Carnage, and the Joker had been transferred to the icebox. Jean said, trying her best to ignore Joker's creepy gaze. Not yet, that said, most of our high-security inmates will indeed soon be transferred to the new super-criminal detention and rehabilitation facility in Antarctica. I'll accompany them as the head of psychiatry. This facility is woefully inadequate to meet our needs. At present, we are winding down operations here. In truth, this antiquated facility should have been shuttered years ago. Dr. Kafka explained, an expression of disdain on her face. Here we are, Mr. Dorrance's cell. The guards unlocked the cell and Dr. Kafka stepped inside with Wonder Woman, Catwoman, and Jean while the two guards waited outside. Inside the cramped cell a large bald man sat on a cot. His arms were restrained by a straitjacket. He stared ahead blankly. "Mr. Dorrance, Bane, this is Dr. Kafka. There are people with me who wish to talk with you. Can you hear me?" Dr. Kafka asked. She waved her right hand in front of his face. Bane failed to react. "Let me try to reach him," Jean said. "Be my guest," Dr. Kefauve said, stepping back. Jean closed her eyes and reached out with her telepathic ability. Bane's mental shields, while impressive, soon fell before Jean. Her eyes opened and briefly flashed pink. "He's faking his condition. He's also plotting against this facility, Batman, and the family of Bruce Wayne," Jean accused. Growling like an animal, Bane burst free of his straitjacket. His hand went for Jean's throat while she instinctively shielded her pregnant belly. Wonder Woman, moving as fast as lightning, stepped between them. Wonder Woman caught Bane's wrists in her hands. Grunting with effort, she held him fast, then threw him against the nearest wall, denting it. The Amazon grinned after she pushed Bane away when he again scrambled forward. "Director Kafka, it would appear that Bane has been faking his condition. Furthermore, judging by his greatly enhanced strength, I suspect he must have access to a supply of his chemical enhancement substance, venom," Wonder Woman said before flooring the charging Bane with an uppercut. "I'll break you all," Bane hissed. "You won't be breaking anyone, Bane. Guards, get in here, now," Dr. Kafka shouted. One of the guards came inside, rubbing his head. "The other guy, Ralph. He must have been working for Bane. He hit me from behind and ran off when Bane attacked you," he said. "That bitch Holly. She told you my plan, didn't she? I'll skin her alive, the little rat," Bane raged. He struggled to get up, but Wonder Woman held him down by stepping on his back. "You won't be hurting Holly or anyone else. It's over, Bane," Catwoman said. "Fool, it's only begun. My partner will go through all of you if need be to get to the bat. Just because I'm neutralized doesn't mean you're safe," Bane said with a manic grin. "Who is his partner?" Catwoman asked Jean. "No idea, I couldn't glean the person's identity from his mind. I don't think he knows, or he's somehow blocked it out," Jean answered. "Enough out of you," Catwoman said. "No one targets those I care about without paying a price. My allies and I have stopped you and will stop your partner too." She viciously kicked Bane so hard in his face she broke his jaw. "If you'll excuse me, I have a wedding to attend. Two close friends of mine who have been through a lot of crap so they can be together are finally tying the knot. I wouldn't miss their big day for the world, and certainly not for a third-rate scumbag like you, Bane. Gotham Cathedral, afternoon. Do you, Bruce Wayne, take Selina Cynthia Kyle to be your lawfully wedded wife, to love and cherish until death do you part?" The bishop, a distinguished African-American man with a full white beard, asked. "I do," Bruce said. "Do you, Selina Kyle, take Bruce Thomas Wayne to be your lawfully wedded husband, to love and cherish until death do you part?" the bishop asked. "I do," Selina said. Both Bruce and Selina were grinning like kids in a candy store. They felt giddy. Neither had thought this day would ever come. It still felt like a dream, one they were afraid they might wake up from at any moment. "By the power vested in me, I now pronounce you husband and wife. Bruce, you may now kiss the bride," the bishop said. The gathered spectators cheered loudly. The new Mr. and Mrs. Wayne engaged in a long, passionate kiss. When they finally came up for air, Bruce asked to be given a microphone so he and Selina could address those gathered in the cavernous structure. "First and foremost, we want to thank everyone who has gathered here today. Your support means the world to us," Bruce said. He handed the microphone to his bride. "Second, will Anna Marie Darkholm and Remy Etienne Lebeau please come to the altar," Selina said. Profoundly confused Rogue and Gambit in their civilian identities came forward. They stood before Selina, Bruce, and the bishop. "My husband and I, God, I love saying that," Selina said, eliciting a laugh from the crowd. "We always honor our debts, and Anna Marie, we owe you a considerable debt. So, we know you and Remy have been saving up for a wedding, so we thought, why not today? It'll be our treat. We've made all the necessary arrangements. The paperwork is ready, if you are," Bruce said, appearing to be genuinely happy for a change. Remy looked at Anna Marie. "What do you say, mon amour? Do you want this old Cajun dog to be your husband?" "How can you ask me that? I want nothing more," Anna Marie said, tears welling up in her eyes. "What are we waiting for? Let's do this, preacher man," Remy said to the bishop. Smiling from ear to ear, Bruce and Selina stepped aside. "Do you, Remy Lebeau, take Anna Marie Darkholm to be your lawfully wedded wife?" the bishop asked. "You know it, I do," Remy said. "Do you, Anna Marie Darkholm, take Remy Etienne Lebeau to be your lawfully wedded husband?" the bishop said. "I do," Anna Marie said. "By the power vested in me, I now pronounce you man and wife. You may kiss the bride," the bishop said, finishing his second wedding of the day. Rogue and Gambit kissed. Again the crowd cheered its approval. An abandoned building nearby. Owlman watched the festivities unfold on a handheld device via a secret video feed. "I should have known better than to place my faith in any version of Bane. No matter which universe he finds himself a part of, Bane will always be an egotistical fool who lacks follow-through," he said in his low monotone voice. "I still don't understand your plan. Why not simply kill this Bruce Wayne and his family after we forge a will so you can steal his fortune? You'd easily pass a DNA to prove you are his long-lost brother. Keep things simple, I always say," Owlman's partner, a black-clad alternate version of Superwoman, said. "I prefer a challenge, my dear," Owlman said. "So, now that Big Bad Baney is out of the picture, what if our next step?" Superwoman asked. "We target the brats," Owlman said, his voice betraying no emotion. "Ah, so we kidnap them and hold them for ransom. A straightforward, effective approach. I like it," Superwoman said with a smirk. "Nothing so pedestrian, my dear," Owlman said. "Utterly defeating the vaunted Batman of this world requires a more finessed approach. I assume you have a plan," Superwoman whispered in his ear after she walked up behind Owlman. She draped her arms over his armed shoulders and chest. "I always have a plan for every contingency, you of all people should know that," Owlman said, showing no excitement. "Mind sharing," Superwoman whispered in Owlman's ear. "In due time, all will be revealed," Owlman said. Apartment of Wade Wilson and Harley Quinn, New York City. "They actually did it, looks like I owe Flash $100, just my luck," Deadpool said from where he sat on his musty old sofa, a tablet on his lap. "Huh," Harley said from where she sat in a worn leather recliner. "I said Batman and Catwoman got hitched, so did Gambit and Rogue apparently, go figure. Damn, I didn't think they'd go through with it," Deadpool said. "Are you okay, Harles? I haven't heard from Red in a few days." "I hope she's okay," Harley said, scrolling through her phone for any notifications she may have missed. She was deeply concerned about the well-being of her very close friend. "Ah, I'm sure she's fine," Deadpool said before eating a slice of 2-day-old pizza. Swamps of Louisiana. With a loud wet thud, Jade Goddess landed. "Swamp Thing, I have come to challenge you for guardianship of the green. I wish to assume my rightful position as protector of Earth's planets," she said. When the swamp remained quiet, she bellowed. "Come out, Alec Holland, you coward. Face me, Swamp Thing." Swamp Thing slowly rose from the muddy water. "Who dares disturb my slumber?" he roared. "About time you showed up," Jade Goddess said. "I, Jade Goddess," hereby formally challenge you for guardianship of the green. I sense you are an extraterrestrial abomination created by immoral science. You do not belong to this world or any other. You are unnatural and thus unworthy to become the next guardian of the green. I reject your challenge, so-called Jade Goddess. Swamp Thing declared, inspecting Jade Goddess carefully by circling her. Ha, your arrogant opinion of my supposed lack of worthiness will not prevent me from ripping the green from your shrieking soul. Jade Goddess sneered. Without warning, Jade Goddess punched her left fist straight through Swamp Thing's torso and out his back. Falling to one knee, Swamp Thing gave a strangled cry of pain. Jade Goddess pulled her hand free, twisting out part of Swamp Thing's interior torso in the process. Jade Goddess carelessly tossed away the piece of Swamp Thing. She grabbed his large head in both hands and squeezed down violently. Green slime-like blood oozed from Swamp Thing's eyes, nose, mouth, and ears before Jade Goddess ripped his head from his body, which fell to the ground. And here I was worried, you weren't so tough. Jade Goddess smirked, tearing his head to shreds. You should be worried. I'm far from finished with you. Swamp Thing's voice said from seemingly everywhere. Massive roots surged from the swamp, impaling Jade Goddess as they entangled her in an inescapable prison. Glowing green blood oozed from her many grievous wounds. Swamp Thing's head regrew and the hole in his torso sealed as he stood up. He stared coldly at Jade Goddess. Do you have any final words before I drain the unnatural life force from you, dissipating it harmless throughout the green? Swamp Thing growled. That's a splendid idea, but me first. Jade Goddess said. A dazzling surge of red mixed with green energy along with splotches of black obliterated the vines. A fully healed Jade Goddess sunk her talon-type claws into the shoulders of Swamp Thing, who discovered he could not break free of her embrace. Her eyes burned bright red. Swamp Thing suddenly felt weak. Rapidly his life force slipped from him, it was somehow being funneled into Jade Goddess. No, you can't take it. I won't let you. Swamp Thing protested feebly. Fool, it has never been yours. You were merely a placeholder, Alec Holland, nothing more. No human can truly protect plant life. Only a plant understands other plants. Jade Goddess said, digging deep into Swamp Thing's psyche. She relentlessly pummeled Swamp Thing with a devastating mental attack born of her Black Mercy origins. She trapped Swamp Thing in a sort of waking nightmare, crumbling his resolve to resist as she fed off him like a leech. Jade Goddess smirked at her waffling victim, cruelly taunting him. She said, "You should be grateful, Holland. I'm taking away your curse. You and Abby can be together. Isn't that what you want, what you've always wanted?" His link with the green severed, Swamp Thing painfully reverted to Alec Holland. "I must stop, why?" Alec croaked, then passed over from sheer exhausted. "At last, it's mine. I am complete," Jade Goddess declared triumphantly. Her aura became even more intense green, predominating over an undercurrent of red, while numerous black splotches continued to dance between the two colors. Alec Holland's prone form forgotten, Jade Goddess made her way deeper into the vast network of marshes. She had such fun planned. Unnoticed by her Man-Thing, who had been watching the encounter from afar, retrieved Alec Holland. Man-Thing knew what he witnessed was not good. The guardian of the nexus of all realities sensed he would need help to set things yet, or this Earth would soon be lost. He would contact Doctor Strange or perhaps Dr. Fate at once. He decided Doctor Strange would be his best bet when he recalled that Dr. Fate usually dealt with more universal matters. This was not a universal level threat, yet. He sincerely hoped Doctor Strange and the other superheroes of Earth could meet the threat posed by Jade Goddess usurping control of the green and set things right. Warning. This episode contains underage drinking. The author does not condone such behavior in the real world. Warning. Bonus episode, Post-Wedding Madness. Hall of Justice, Metropolis in Missouri, night. You finally made it? We were getting worried you might not show, a smiling Superman said to Batman and Catwoman. I hate teleporters, Batman mumbled, stepping out of the unit alongside Catwoman. "Hey everyone, our guests of honor have arrived," Spider-Man announced, to which the gathered superheroes loudly applauded. "About time," the Flash said, tapping his foot impatiently. "What took you two so long?" Green Arrow asked. "Is our company not going enough for you now you've officially tied the knot?" Black Canary teased. "Did my replicates malfunction?" Ant-Man asked, a worried expression on his face. "They work like a charm, Hank. No one at the wedding party can tell the difference." "Thank you so much," Catwoman said with a smile. "You're welcome," Ant-Man said with a smile of his own. Next to Ant-Man, his wife Wasp also smiled. "Too good if you ask me," Batman said, his eyes narrowing. "How did you obtain such exact vital statistics about me and my wife, Pym? Care to share your methods?" "Ah, Bats, if I told you my methods I'd only spoil your fun. We both know you enjoy uncovering things for yourself more than being told." Ant-Man said with a wink. This action earned him the infamous Bat glare. "Bruce, Selina, I want to thank you both again for offering Nadia a summer student position with Wayne Industries," Wasp said. "It's our pleasure," Catwoman said. "Nadia is a very smart girl. I'm sure Lucius will make fine use of her talents." Batman said coldly. "What Bruce means is we are happy to have Nadia aboard," Catwoman said, shooting her groom a disapproving glance for his less than tactful words. He still needed to work on his social skills, it seemed. "I'm glad someone thinks so," Ant-Man grumbled. "Hank, this isn't the place," Wasp said. "I'm sorry Jan, but how Tony dismissed Nadia without any consideration wasn't right," Ant-Man said. "It wouldn't be the first time Tony took advantage of a teenage girl." That came out wrong," Flash said. "Maybe, but it's true," said Impulse, who stood next to her fellow speedster and husband. "I don't know how you can work for that creep, Mary Jane." He pays well," Spider-Man joked, hoping to break the tension. "I work more directly under Pepper than I do Tony. She oversees the PR department of Stark," Mary Jane said. "And I agree. Tony treated Riri unfairly, and he shouldn't have said what he did about Nadia." "Oh, you mean how he doesn't trust her, or about how she could be a Russian sleeper asset?" Ant-Man growled. "Hey, I'm on your side here," Mary Jane said. "Hank, Mary Jane isn't your enemy," Impulse said. "Stay out of this, Iris," Ant-Man snapped. "Hey, don't talk to her like that," Flash said. "Same goes for my wife, back off, Hank," Spider-Man said. "Hank, please, these are our friends," Wasp said, attempting to calm her husband's legendary fiery reaction. "I'm sorry everyone. I get worked up when I think of how Tony treated Nadia," Ant-Man said. 4 years, she's been with us for over 4 years. Everything they did at the Red Room program, we've painstakingly undone. Nadia is a wonderful big sister to Hope. She has done exceedingly well in school. She even has a boyfriend in Blue Beetle, Jamie Reyes. I'm not sure how I feel about that. She's becoming a well-adjusted young woman. It seems so unfair a 14-year-old girl should be judged because of something beyond her control. We live in a harsh world. But I agree. Stark's judgment of the situation is flawed." The usually suspicious Batman proclaimed, shocking everyone. "Wow, how uncharacteristically compassionate of you, Bats. Are you feeling all right?" Flash said, earning himself an elbow to his gut from Impulse. "Oof, what did I say? I'm perfectly fine. In fact, I've never felt better," Batman said, looking at Catwoman. "One could say I'm seeing things through new eyes." The band, made up entirely of the always goofy and flexible Plastic Man, struck up a waltz. "May I have this dance, milady?" Batman asked, offering Catwoman his hand. "Nothing would please me more, sire," Catwoman said, playing along. Before long everyone had paired off except for Superman. Are you sure you'll be okay staging it, Clark? Spider-Man asked. Too bad Lois is at the other event in Gotham, Mary Jane said. Perry needed someone to cover the social event of the century and Lois took the assignment. Truthfully, she wouldn't want to be anywhere else. Always chasing the story, that's my Lois. Superman said. If you change your mind, I think I can get MJ to let me dance with you for a few rounds, Spider-Man said. Superman smiled, his best superhero friend was quite the comedian. Peter always knew the right thing to say to brighten a cloudy day. Another thing Clark liked about Peter is the guy never let life get him down regardless of how much it dumped on him, and over the years that had been a great deal indeed. I'll be fine alone. You guys have fun, Superman said. Alrighty, Spider-Man said, twirling MJ onto the dance floor. A nearby room. Hey everyone, Riri is here. She'll tell us what to do, Wonder Girl said. Yeah, Cassie, Riri is a genius. She always knows what to do, just ask her, Nova Sam Alexander said. Most of the other teenagers laughed at these remarks and some even shot Riri and Connor withering looks. Guys, knock it off, Shadow Spider said, annoyed by the juvenile behavior on the part of his fellow teenage superheroes. If you want to defend that spaz, by all means go ahead, Miles. But don't expect us to like her just because you say so, Spoiler said. What are you, 6, Steph? Talk about a lame insult, Miles said. Spoiler turned up her nose at Shadow Spider. Steph is right. Riri isn't a nice person, Ms. Marvel said. She did nothing but boss us around and insult us when she worked for Tony Stark. She called me a pathetic little fangirl. That's rich coming from an overrated Iron Man cosplayer, Spoiler snorted. Riri had dismissed Spoiler for being a failed bargain basement Batgirl wannabe. Riri wanted to run. Sensing her flight or fight response, Connor firmly yet gently gripped her arm. Don't, he mounted at her. Riri took a deep breath. She had to do this, as unpleasant as it would no doubt prove. I know most of you don't want me here. I understand why you feel the way you do. I was terrible to you all. I've changed, I really have. Please, give me another chance. We'll give you a chance, won't we, honey? Nadia the Ruby Wasp said, draping her arm around Blue Beetle's shoulders. There was a suspicious funny-smelling flask in her hand. She burped loudly. Nadia, have you been drinking? Ms. Marvel gasped. Lay off, Kamala. Not everyone can be pure and perfect like you. Some of us need to cut loose when our parents aren't watching us like hawks, Ruby Wasp said. You drank a lot, Nadia. Maybe you should lay down, Blue Beetle suggested. There isn't enough alcohol in the world to get most of us drunk, am I right, people? I'm fine, just fine, Ruby Wasp said, nearly falling to her knees. Oh God, don't tell my dad or stepmom, they'll freak out. I'll sober up by the time the party is over, yeah, I'm sure I will. Everything will be great. Jamie, how could you let her get drunk? Connor asked, helping Blue Beetle hold up Nadia. I tried to stop her, honestly, I did, Blue Beetle said. You're kind of cute, Nadia said, dropping her flask. She put her arms around Connor's neck. She drew him in for a kiss he only avoided by pushing her away. Ouch, Nadia exclaimed, landing hard on her butt. You dropped me, how rude, Nadia said. Hey, kids. Who wants to play Scrabble? Cyborg said, entering the room with Shuri. We have party favors, Shuri said excitedly. She waved the colorful party packs around for all to see. Both of the happy young adults, however, stopped dead in their tracks when they saw Nadia and her spilled flash. Yay, I love party favors, Nadia said, clapping her hands together as a small child would. To be continued. Next up, Green Inferno.